are back. Racing Post Live with the Betfair Exchange. Ooh, what a Saturday we've got. Who'd have thought we'd have been here? Normally this is the Derby weekend, but unprecedented times is the Guineas. The 2000 Guineas card. We'll also be looking at Newcastle for you as well. Myself, Dave Orton in the chair. Delighted. Never been so pleased to see you. Bruce Millington with me. Absolutely. This is exciting stuff, isn't it, Bruce?
It is. It absolutely is. I mean, who'd have thought we'd be back? There were times when we thought it might be July, August, even September. Here we are. You know, the start of the flat season's obviously been disrupted, but the show's back on the road, isn't it? And what an afternoon we've got. What a weekend.
And I read your column in the paper today. You've been punting on some strange mediums, old boy. You must be absolutely delighted that you've got a rough idea that you're not having a guess up.
Well, this is incredible. I mean, never mind Belarusian football and Taiwanese cricket. I mean,
it was the cricket match that got me.
Oh, that was ridiculous. But we've got proper, bona fide, world-class flat racing from Newmarket and Newcastle. It doesn't get any better.
It's been some week, isn't it?
Yeah, it has. I think it's been a good week. I mean, obviously, day one, it was great to have it back. It was awful to see that fatality to December sound. That was such a cruel return. But apart from that, you know, it's looked and felt like real horse racing, hasn't it? And today is the day. You know, we've had some great action already. You know, the classic trial and there's been such the snowdrop. It's been loads of really good racing. But today it goes up a gear and it is a proper, fantastic racing Saturday.
Royal Ascot before the Derby and the Oaks.
There's a lot to get your head round, isn't there? You know, Sagaro Stakes on the Tapita at Newcastle. Like, we're not expecting that, but you know that's the way it is. And all the things, most of the goodies that we've lost have been saved. So there's there's no dull days really. From
it feels
now.
like a Super Saturday, right?
It really does, yeah.
And I'm also delighted to say from Betfair, the big hitter, Barry Orr joins us from Wicklow. Let's have a look at Barry. There he is. Now, if you've been watching racing this week, you'd have seen this marvellous background that Barry has. You can tell he's a pro at this. He's got the bookshelf at Bruce, and he's got the horse racing. I mean, that
picture basically looks like it's worth a few quid, Barry, that.
I don't know about that. That's the great Rodrigo de Triano in the 92 champion stakes in Newmarket, no less, up the Rolling Mile. The great Leicester Piggott in the place.
Peter Chapel-Harm, of course. And God,
right.
We've got so much to talk about, haven't we, here at Newmarket. But Newcastle, as well as Bruce says, looks like a fantastic card as well. Barry, you're well. We're going to be really getting our teeth stuck into the exchange as well.
Yeah, there's some cracking races. Obviously, Betfair sponsors 17 races across the 2 days. The only two races we don't sponsor on the card are the Quipco 1000 and 2000 Guineas. But there's some excellent racing. And you'd have to start in the big race, don't you? 3:35. Pinatubo, he's the quintessential exchange horse. Are you a backer or are you a layer? He's 186 at the moment. Me, myself, I'm a layer, but I'm sure we'll get to that.
Yeah, on the front page of your Racing Post today, that's something that you and Barry were talking about off air. How nice does this feel?
Oh, it's fantastic.
In between the fingers.
Good to have it back, it really is. Barry, obviously we'll get into the Guineas in much greater depth later, but I'm looking at the graph there on Pinatubo. It's pretty much a flat line, isn't it? I think, he's found his level in the market and stayed there, hasn't he?
Yeah, a couple of the books this morning went to evens on the sportsbook. Betfair Sportsbook went to even money, and Paddy Powers, I think, went to evens as well. A couple of other firms too just wanted to get him into the bag, obviously. But he was 178 was the lowest on the exchange this morning. He's 186 now, so he's just tittering around that mark. I think he might just go evens myself later on. I think the books are going to be out to get him for sure. I'm not sure whether general public are going to be backing him either. He doesn't really spark, that joy within your ordinary Saturday punter. Is going to probably look for a little bit of value elsewhere in the field.
Well, what is it, about 8-1 bar at the minute? Wichita is the one that's coming in. We'll get to that, of course. Let's do a little bit of housekeeping for you. Can you believe it was all the way back in Cheltenham that we last did this in our first show? Here, this is just our second show. Here we are in June. Unbelievable scenes, isn't it?
My last day back at Racing Post HQ.
We were a bit like Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong, weren't we, coming in today? It's strange out there. But listen, we're delighted to be here. We're going to lift your mood. That's what it's all about. We've got sport back on. Racing is the premier sport. Don't forget RP Live, hashtag. If you want to get in touch with us, do. We remember through the Cheltenham week, we shouted out loads of you out there, and we'll be talking you through the exchange as well. Bruce is going to be placing some bets for us. Barry's got some ideas about what he thinks might go in running, and we'll be explaining it all. And we'll, of course, be looking at all the big races, starting at the Palace House in about 1:50, isn't it? Let's have a little look then. Oh, what have we got here? Damien Moffat, nice to have you. Nice to see you, Dave and Bruce. Pinatubo, Kinross, Arizona, in that order.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I love a Rafe Beckett horse. The only thing is he's made a desperately slow start, hasn't he? I think trainer form is something that's going to be a feature of what we talk about this afternoon, isn't it?
Yeah, looking at the signposts, of course, in your racing post, you'll see that Charlie Appleby and John Gosling hit the ground running. It looked like Stouty was going to, Sir Michael Stout was going to really, I mean, I guess Stout hasn't really had the luxury, has he, of having those April maiden runs, if you like. Stout, we usually think about peaking as near to Ascot as he can. He's had to get them out running, hasn't he?
Absolutely. Andrew Boarding's another one who's absolutely on fire, and there's a couple of stables that aren't going particularly well. But we've only had 5 days, so I think this is one of those ones where you're going to be slightly wary if the stable hasn't had many wins and places. Yeah. But it is only day 6 of the comeback, so you probably don't want to overread it. Talking
back to what Damien said about Kinross there, he looks to me like the potential fly in the race. He's obviously got the course form, hasn't he? He's been to Whitesbury. Rafe Beckett took him over to Marcus Dragoning's yard because the ground's been too firm for him to run anywhere else, and apparently he's absolutely flying. It's just he's a Mayfoal, isn't he? Won't get too much into that, but it means he's going to be a little bit immature, lacks that inexperience.
Well, that might help him actually. The delay of the race there, if he's a late foal, I mean that would play into his hands, wouldn't he?
This is Beckett's first ever 2,000 Guineas runner. 20
That's
years
extraordinary.
3-time classic winning trainer. He's won at the Brady's Cup. Never had a runner.
That's absolutely extraordinary.
So Kinross, Damien, out there for you could go well. Barry. Before we start to have a look at the Palace House, the burn-up, the sprint, is there anything else apart from Pinatubo which looks like it might crash?
I was given a stable companion a bit of a chance, Al Suhal, and I was also given Military March with an eye on the Derby. I think he's one to definitely watch. I think he'll be finishing his race strongly when others are coming back. But Al Suhal just behind Military March in the Autumn Stakes back in October over in Newmarket on the Rowley Mile, and I think he should feature significantly in this year's renewal of the 2,000 Guineas. I don't think he'd be that far off a stable companion Pinatubo. You can back one at 16 to 1, or you can back the other at 4 to 5. For me, it's a place back on Al Suhal.
Barry, would you agree there is one potential factor that could sway Pinatubo's price, and that is if these favourites that have, the shorties beforehand, Palace Pier and Goslin's other one, Val Koenig, if they go in, it's potentially, some people have done those, short price favourite trebles, and they could start rolling on and picking up some fair liability. So I guess that's another thing to look at, isn't it? I mean, if the bookies have had a great time of it going into the Guineas, they're going to be a little bit bolder. They're going to want to get Pinatubo, and I guess that's going to drag the exchange price up as well, isn't it?
Yeah, very much so. And there's another horse there. The 2 preceding races before the 2,000 Guineas, Terebum, she's another one that will feature significantly in all those multiple bets. So you could have running up money going onto the favourite for sure. And I suppose a lot of punters would have played that way with the favourite being so short in the big race. But that's something that the punters will be definitely factoring into their bets on the 2,000 Guineas.
All sorts of offers out there at the moment. We should start, of course, by saying that if you've not been able to get out and get a paper, get to the website, because this is a pretty crazy offer we've got here, Bruce, isn't it? The members club, basically 3 months for a tenner. If you sign up, you can see that a promo code racing is back. I mean, in all my time of working here, I've never known anything like that.
Well, that's $34.95 normally per month, so you're getting over 100 quid's worth of offer for a tenner. And let's just remember what that gives you. That gives you the digital version of the Racing Post newspaper, the digital version of the Weekender, the digital version of the Outlook, all the video replays, all the news, all the stories, all the features. You're getting absolutely everything you need there, all the stats, ratings, etc., the notes service. 3 months for a tenner. Yeah. I must admit, when I saw that, I don't want to sound like some sort of poor quality QVC salesman.
Well, do you know what? I was going through my mind.
No, seriously. I mean, we pump out various offers, and they're all good, but that one is an absolute belter.
There's Keels, look, with the grin. Let's hope he's still wearing the grin after his punting this week, I think. And look, never before have the videos been so needed, have they?
No, absolutely.
So listen, QVC part over. Don't forget, of course, to get in touch. RP Live, hashtag, whatever you're doing. Twitter, Facebook, you're watching on this. And we're going to have a look at the first race. I'm being told in the ear now. It's going to fly as well today, lads, isn't it? We've got 15 minutes between each race pretty much. Thick and fast. So we're going to get real-time analysis here. You're going to watch the market. Don't forget, Betfair is the market. There's no punters anymore that don't look at Betfair before taking any sort of bet whatsoever to see what your horse is doing in the market. And we've got what we have to say is a wide open looking Palace House Stakes, the 150 at Newmarket. Won by Mabs Cross, of course, you remember the last 2 years. She's gone off now. Michael Dodds is represented. We will get to that. Her trainer, he's on the hat trick. Me and Barry, I think, like that one. But we're expecting far. It's a Tatos, isn't it? Far above. So you can tell I'm rusty, can't you? You can tell I'm rusty. And it's a sign of the times as well that I'm using a laptop, because throughout Cheltenham, Bruce, I didn't need a laptop whatsoever. We knew every hoof that was running, didn't we? We've had basically a week to get all this done. So we're not going to get too bogged down in the form. But, of course, if you've got any questions out there, we'll be able to answer them for you. Now, this James Tatos, far and above, Barry, I'll come to you with this. It looked like he was going to go off about 11-4, so about 3.9 on the exchanges. He's now going out more towards 7-2. I'm surprised still he's that short. He's got high draw, that's against the stand side. Historically at this meeting, we want to be high. However, typically in the first race, just to confuse us, there was a 1:15 sprint handicap at Newmarket. You guessed it, still one, still two. One thing we can say, you want to be up on the pace, I think, so far. There's nothing really been coming from too far off. So we'll be seeing how the trends emerge as we go on. So far above. Barry, what sort of price will this go off in your opinion?
Yeah, he slided after we saw the results of the first race. Obviously, the winner was drawn 1, the winner was drawn 2, the runner-up was drawn 1, and the third horse was drawn 6. So it seems to favour low numbers. That you can't say that for the favourite here, far and above, drawn 13. He's won 3 from 4 last season, tries 5 furlongs for the first time as well. That has to be against him. I'd be taking him on for sure. And I think everyone knows I'm taking him on with Queen's Gift in the place market. Currently around a 14-1 chance on the exchange. Currently 3-1 in the place market. That's standard place terms now. 3 places. You can opt for 4 places on the exchange as well if you want. But I'm going to stick with the standard 3 place terms there. And I'm going to have my few quid on him to finish in the first 3.
Paul
Her, should I say? One of 3
first,
mares. Sorry, her. One of 3 fillies in the race.
Yeah, absolutely. I fancy another filly. I think Shades of Blue, the bottom one, really ultra consistent last year. Excuses in her final run. I just think that hopefully she'll make the progression from 3 to 4. She's very popular, actually, very, very solid. Probably the most solid in the market all day. Currently showing 5.4 to back, 5.5 to lay. So I'm going to put my faith in Adam Kirby and Shades of Blue to kick us off with a winner, hopefully. But we better put Barry's bet on at some point. And we do strike now, Barry?
Well, I can second Barry on this. I've put Queen's Gift up as well. I mean, I don't know how we feel about this. I remember through Cheltenham we were talking about this. Will Dodsey get the hat-trick in the race? I don't know. It's hard to see happening, isn't she? But I think if she tags on to Major Jumbo, who's drawn in stall 1, he was third in the race last year. He is a pace angle. I think that she could still step up. So, yeah, it's here come the girls, basically, in this.
We need to bottom out the draw situation, though, don't we, chaps? Because, I mean, we've had one race, so we can't get too excited about it. And although the winner was drawn 1, didn't they come across, Barry, right across to the near side rail? So perhaps it's in a larger field, it's not going to be as easy to get across, but that is going to be the name of the game, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you want to get onto that rail. We saw it even with the 2-year-olds on Friday, how crucial it was that they had that rail, or on Thursday, how crucial it was they had that rail. And again, yesterday, to a lesser extent. But yeah, it makes some difference, especially when it's windy. And there was a bit of a tailwind yesterday. I don't know what the wind's like there today. Did anyone hear?
It's behind, I think, isn't it? The wind still.
Okay.
Maybe a little bit more, actually, behind them, I think. When you talk about pace in the race, especially in sprints, it's vital, isn't it? And if you eke out who the likely front runners are going to be in this, hopefully you won't be too far away. I mean, let's go through what I've found in this. Major Jumbo, definitely. I thought Ornate, he's drawn in 8. He could be one that takes the higher numbers there a little bit. Well Done Fox for Richard Hannon, Sylvester de Souza and the King Powers. That just likes to get on with it. And maybe Shades of Blue, I think we'll get a nice stalking one with Queen's Gift. I think Shades of Blue I can see, because if you fancy the favourite, you're looking at the official ratings, you think, well, she's getting weight from that, and she's officially rated 6 or 7 pounds higher. So
exactly.
Clive Cox has had a couple of near misses this week, he's yet to have the winner, so I can certainly see where you're coming from there. This is going to be fast and furious. Bruce is going to try and take us through the races we're going. I'm going to have a little look at the market as we're going as well. Tell you what's crashing. If you watch the show during Cheltenham, who knows where we're going to go?
We won't be going with the Gosh. We won't have a repeat of Goshen, I absolutely promise.
Chairman of the Goshen fan club over there. He's come back into training, by the way, Goshen. I saw that. Hayley Moore posted up a picture of him. He's back at Gary Moore's. Gary Moore had a really well back winner at Kempton in the week.
I'd say with Goshen, lads, if they could get him into the Ebor, I'd say that would be their target for him. But he needs to obviously win a few races to get into the Ebor. But that could be he could be a real live contender for it if they do get him in.
Melbourne Cup.
Yeah, I just think this horse is a complete freak. I think, normally, when the day after Cheltenham and you're licking your wounds or counting your winnings and you have a little cursory look at the next year's prices. You don't expect to see a lot of value, but I've just backed Goshen straight away at 8-1. I just thought it was ridiculous.
For the champ.
For the champion hurdle, I think he's an absolute freak. And I think, Barry, you're talking, as you say, the Ebor, the Melbourne Cup. I think this is kind of a new sea pigeon. I think he's, that's going back in time, but he's a horse who will dominate staying flat races and hurdles. Yeah. I love him. I absolutely love him. And if ever a horse's connections deserve, to put something like that behind, and that was just horrific. And it was so unlucky, wasn't it? If you look at the actual slow-mo with the rear plate getting stuck in the front one. It was just the most ridiculous thing of all time. I've just about got over it.
Well, it was a tough one. It kept me going, actually, looking back on that through the lockdown. I've got to tell you, that was one of the most hilarious things I've ever seen here at the Racing Post, that's for sure. But look, and you're right. He's going to want a deluge, though, lads, isn't he? Because if the dry spell continues, it can't do, surely, can it? I mean, I know there's a little bit of rain out there today, but let's face it, it's nominal at the moment. Talking about hosepipe bans and
the rain will come again. It always does. Going back to this race, it's very interesting actually. Shades of Blue is now potentially going to usurp Far Above as favourite. It's 5.2 Far Above on Betfair, and it's 5.3 Shades of Blue. Moskill's popular at 6.2, Major Jumbo 7.2, and Judicial 7.6. Obviously, Judicial's trainer Julie Camacho won the previous race. Judicial loves it at Cheltenham, loves it on firm. So, I know he's 8, but if there's a horse to me that is the absolute rock solid option, who to me will feature in the finish, that's who I fancy.
Isn't it lovely to have Judicial back, guys? He was second in the race 2 years ago. We should say that behind Mabs Cross.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's such a game horse, isn't he, really? A fast pace that's guaranteed in this race. He'll absolutely lap it up. He'll be coming home very strong at the finish. He traded at a high of 80 in running last day on the Betfair Exchange before he landed that race in Lingfield. So, yeah, he's definitely one to watch out for. And his form ties in well with Far Above as well, or Queen's Gift, as we know from last season too.
He's been back, isn't he? Should we get Barry's bet on?
Yeah, let's do that. Right then, Barry, talk me through it. Who are we back in and how?
We go to the place market. You go just to the standard place market. I'm going to back Queen's Gift. It's currently, what do you see there? 3.95. Yeah, 3.9. So take that. We're gonna have 40 quid on that to start off. And I think it's worth saying, lads, that any money we make today or tomorrow, we're going to give to the Racing Welfare, who have been doing so much great work over the course of the lockdown for stable staff. So
great job. Now, Barry, unfortunately, we haven't been taken. So do we want to take 3.85 or sit and wait? Some of it's been taken now. So perhaps
I think we have a few minutes. Just leave it up there and people will come in and nibble away at it. They'll know if it's my money that I'm a mug, and they'll definitely want to come on and lay it. But
we've had a fiver, so we should hopefully get it done.
Yeah, we should get matched easy enough there. It's quite a liquid market. Obviously, not as liquid as the main win market, but the place market, I think there's over £60,000 already matching it. So, as you know, Bruce, these markets, the liquidity comes into them as closer we get to off time, especially in the win market. But that 10 or 15 minutes beforehand is when they're probably at their most liquid. I see Far and Above in the place market now is even money, and Shades of Blue is just odds against at 2.16. But Queen's Gift should get done about the 3.95 mark.
And Barry, do you tend to, I mean, it's great that you've got a choice, isn't it? You can either go 2, 3 or 4 places. Do you ever find yourself in a bit of a quandary about which of those to take? Because obviously the bigger price, you can sort of grade your risk, can't you, depending on how many places you go for?
Yeah, you could get greedy and say the bigger price obviously is in the 2 places, and then obviously as you go down the places, it decreases more and more in this race, like Queen's Gift. I think we're matched now in Queen's Gift, are we?
Yeah, we're all done there. He's actually drifted out to 4.2. So
4.2.
Never
That's
mind.
The Barry Orr factor. It must be. People know I'm backing it, so they're happy to be the other side of the bet. But we'll wait and see. No, but Bruce, there's 1, 2, 3, or 4 place markets on the Betfair Exchange, and I suppose it's up to the individual. It's what they think the price in correlation to the chance they give the horse. If they feel that it's close to the price that they had in their head, well, then they're a backer. If not, potentially they could be a layer as well.
But it's one thing I always say about betting on horse racing now. I mean, when we were kids starting out, you either back win or each way, didn't
Yeah.
you? Now you've got exchanges, you've got back, you've got lay, you've got spreads, you've got keep bets, you've got all these mad
Alternative
multiples.
markets,
There's just so many ways to actually maximise your fancy, isn't there? And talking of fancy, shades of blue. Now clear favourite 4.9 as opposed to 5.1 for far along.
They're right down at the start now, just going behind the stalls. What are we making of the stalls situation so far? Obviously, with the social distancing, it was fine at Newmarket the first day, Newcastle, the first day. Then at Kempton, with just the two stall handlers, the 2-year-old races, there was always going to be a bit of an issue, weren't there?
Yeah, I know rules are rules and you have to do these things, but is there really a risk if these guys are wearing masks if you put another couple on there? Because they're going to spend, if they can get the horses in quicker, they're going to spend less time in close proximity to each other.
And they're outside.
You'd hope that this is just a starter measure, and that once they've shown they can do it, or that they maybe even need to have a little bit of extra help, hopefully they'll get it. It's the only thing that you'd say probably hasn't been perfect about it, and that's no slight on the stalls handlers who, just do an absolutely awesome job every single day, don't they?
Yeah, and with these young immature horses, it's going to happen. But they are going in nice and straightforward so far. Let's not jinx it. Queen's Gift has gone in nice and simple. Let's get a final market update from you then, Barry, if you would.
Yeah, Shades of Blue, like Bruce alluded to, is your favourite now at 4.6, which is about the 7-2 mark, 5.3 far and above, just a little over 4-1. Moss Gill, relatively strong as well now at 5.8. Major Jumbo, 7.6, which is 13-2. Our horse, Queen's Gift, out to 16.5. The trainer did say he thought he'd need the run, but we're booking the trend there, myself and you, Dave, and we're hoping the trainer got it wrong.
Fools seldom differ, Barry. And Michael Dodds did have a very well back winner. OK, we're just about ready for the 150. The first race here back on Racing Post Live. Bruce, I'm going to give it over to you. You've got roughly about 58 seconds here, mate, to get this order kind of in. It's no cross countries at Cheltenham here.
Nice and easy. They're all in, they're all out. It's a fairly level break. Slightly slowly away on the near side was... that's not a great start. Who's that? Ornate? Far above. Far and above. But it's actually shown a phenomenal amount of early pace and is duelling with Ornate for the lead. So those two clad in yellow have grabbed the lead on the rails. It's an incredible performance by Far Above to get that quick. And he's 3.8 now, Dave. He looked like he missed... She looked like she missed the kick.
This is a first run
Judicial's
at
got to
the
be on
minimum.
the premises.
Here
Judicial in the sheepskin noseband's going to be on the premises. Moss Gill as well, getting a bit of a run, but they all have to go to get far and above.
Major Jumbo is
the exchange.
Major Jumbo. Judicial is entering the equation here,
Where's
but it's
Shades of
still
Blue?
far above. Still far
Oh,
above.
Shades of Blue's getting a bit of trouble
Far
there.
above, holding them
Far
off.
above is holding them off by half a length. Judicial's closing though. Major Jumbo's in third, and then we've got Well Done Fox coming on. But it looks like Far Above is going to hold on. Yeah, it's a comfortable win. It's going to win by 3/4 of a length. Good old Judicial is second. Running on late is staying on late is Major Jumbo. I think that's actually 1, 2, 3. So the market has pretty much got it right. Shades of Blue, disappointing favourite. But that, when we look at the replay there, it's an incredible performance by Far Above because missed the kick and yet is leading after a furlong. That's a really good performance there. I hope they show the start again there, just to take you through it there. Like I say, Major Jumbo's third, Well Done Fox is fourth. I think it might have been Shades of Blue finishing quite well to be fifth, but Far Above 7-2 on the fixed odds is your winner.
How many places, remind me, on Queen's Gift was it? She was running on. At the pace of the race was strange.
3 places we were on.
3 places we were. So
I think she's fourth.
Yeah.
Barry, if I look at the graph for the winner, there's a little flicker up to about 6.5, just to reflect the fact that the start wasn't brilliant. But then it's just a smooth cut, isn't it? Because got the rails and made the best of his way home.
That's a classic Newmarket performance that we've seen there. Get on that rail, use the fast ground, and we have seen all week so far, in the first 2 days of this Newmarket guide, you want to be roughly there or thereabouts. So look, he drifted out. If you're on the favourite, congratulations. They obviously knew what they had, didn't they? Because he went into it with an official rating of 99, only 99. We have a group class sprinter all of a sudden. This kind of sums up the situation at the moment. Sorry, Barry.
He the plum drawn 13. Obviously, he just wobbled a bit coming out of the stalls, I think, but nothing came over onto the rail. And he got a free run up the rail, and obviously he's made that draw count, and it really has counted for him. Everything else had to come over. The runner-up obviously has come over from stall 6, and that was racing out in the centre of the track, as was the third as well. But yeah, he's a good improving horse, isn't he?
So
he's won 3 from 4 last season.
The first 2 sprints have gone to on-pace races on the rail. What is the Guineas going to be like? Don't forget Pinatubo drawn in 7, of course. That means he's right in the middle. He'll have options, but he's going to have to get over there. I was surprised that Major Jumbo didn't go out and try and get him. Ornate is just like a bullet, and that will do him well. He was never going to last home, I think, having got into a draw. It's almost a little bit more impressive for the favourite, isn't it? That he did have that little pace duel early and has still seen it out. Has gone into the dip, very well balanced horse.
He's going to be an interesting horse for the rest of the season now, isn't he? Because he's an improver. He's won 4 from 5 now. He's confirmed the promise he showed last year. And he's basically announced his arrival as a sprinter to very much keep on the right side of this season. Good old Judicial has run a lovely race to finish second, and Major Jumbo. So there wasn't a great deal of movement within the race. Nothing really came off the back, did it?
Yeah, Major Jumbo's done well to finish third again. That's 2 places now. So you could argue, it's not hard to argue that he's beaten the right horses. So you're right, Bruce. This is a sprinter, I think, sort of going places. You can just see the Betfair SPs there, 7-2 then for the winner. Been much bigger than we expected because of that move for Shades of Blue. Clive Cox is... we'll talk about her in a minute. And Judicial there at 15-2 and Major Jumbo. Horses that have been here and done it before. So what was the biggest price that Far Above went, Barry, in the race?
7.8, I think, around that mark. Yeah, just when it was just a little wobble coming out of the stalls, I think just might have hit around the 7.8 mark, but didn't vary too much, obviously, once he had that running rail. Our horse ran well to finish 5th, Queen's Gift, and she's one to keep on the right side of this season. I say she'll come on a ton for the run. The trainer, as always, was correct there, and she will improve significantly for that run, and she's a nice filly, and she's one to keep in your notebook, and definitely put her in your Racing Post tracker.
And Barry, Betfair SP 5.64. That's 4.64 to 1, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
So it's a 4 point better
little
than
over
your
9
SP.
to 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously all the Betfair prices are in decimal, which includes your stake. So if it's 4.5, that's 7 to 2. If it's 6.6, that's 11 to 2, and so on and so forth. 2.5 would be 6 to 4.
And Barry, for people that have backed Far Above there, you've got a free bet offer, haven't you?
Yeah, we certainly do. Yeah, you're going to enjoy this one, Dave. We've always struggled to find a decent metric on the Betfair exchange where we can give away free bets, and it's no coincidence that free is the most used word in marketing. People like free stuff. So what we've done is, if you bet £20 today on any of the races in Newmarket, we'll give you a £20 free bet. If you use that £20 free bet and it wins, we'll give you another free bet. If you back another winner, we'll give you another free bet, and we'll continue to give you £20 worth of free bets until you back a loser. So you want to put a decent streak together, and it's at our expense. Bet 20 quid on any race today. If you back a winner, we'll give you a 20 quid free bet, and we'll continue to give you 20 quid free bet until your winning streak comes to an end.
So, okay. I mean, that's something nice to roll with, isn't it? Absolutely.
It's that easy. All we have to do is find a winner first.
Well, we thought that Bruce had the steamer of the race there. We had one that just looked like he needed it. And, favourite backers are in clover, aren't they? 100%. So we'll be moving up to Newcastle next, of course. A big day again for them. They've got the Cigaro Stakes there, 240, which is usually, of course, running mid-April at Ascot. That's usually a Gold Cup trial. Estimate and Colour Vision, you'll remember, won the race before going on to land the Blue Ribbon at Royal Ascot later that week. It's an interesting race. Withhold will be there, but we will get up to Newmarket. I think we've got the 205 coming up there next, haven't we? So 2 horses that have been really well backed in the race as well. So it'll be interesting to see who people do roll on to. Do let us know you're out there and what you're backing. What did you make of that Far Above? Can he go on to maybe shake them up a little bit at Royal Ascot in the King's Stand? Would he be a King's Stand runner?
Yeah, don't see why not. Yeah. No, he looked good, didn't he? I mean,
he's 5 to 1 for the King's Stand.
Is that what he is?
For show, yeah.
That's a bit that's skinnier than I thought it would be.
Who's Fav, Barry?
I think he's the favourite in it now.
Is he?
Just let me check that. But yeah, I think he's gone favourite after that.
I wonder if this is going to be a trend that we see here. Horses that are winning races this week. English King, let's talk about him for a minute. Ed Walker's winner of the Derby trial. He's now favourite for the Epsom Derby.
Yeah.
So punters, have they just been waiting before getting onto that anti-post steam?
Well, I think that he's very much a temporary favourite unless nothing impresses today or the wrong horses impress today, by which I mean Pinatubo, who I think by common consent everyone agrees won't stay. If he was to win the Guineas and nothing really did anything in behind him, he might retain it. But, you've got Val Koenig and you've got all sorts of interesting horses today. Yeah. But I tell you what, it was a really good performance, that, wasn't it? And obviously the race threw up the winner last year in Anthony Van Dyke, didn't it?
It did.
You know, so maybe the Lingfield Derby trial is back in fashion. I thought it was a lovely performance. And, you know, it's going to take something good today to knock him off the head of the market. But
you associate Ballydoyle and obviously Massar, so your boy's in blue. But you look at his breeding, he's Camelot, Derby winner, out of a Symphonic mare. It's all there, he's going to stay, isn't he? I just love the way that he could have been called the winner a long way out, and he beautifully balanced horse. Lovely to see Ed Walker win the Derby, wasn't it? He's never had a horse that can go with it at home, he says, so he didn't know what he had going. It drifted yesterday out to 9-4, but...
You know, it's good. And you're talking about this season's form. I mean, you know, in the Oaks, I thought, Frankly Darling, on day one, John Gosden's filly, I thought she was absolutely superb. She exploded away from them in the final furlong. That was a terrific performance. And to me, I'd rather have form like that in June that isn't in an established trial or one of the top 2-year-old races, but I'm much more interested in a filly who can do that in June than anything any of them could have done last September, if that makes sense.
Well, yeah, and she beat a really well fancied horse into second as well. There was good money for her. She had been 20. We cut her into 12. I think she's nearly into 7-1 now for the Oaks. Frankly Darling, she looked a proper racehorse. Bruce, just to come back to you there, Batash, of course, favourite for the King's Stand, currently 7-4, but 5-1, far above second favourite now as well.
Yeah, just quickly before we move on to the next race, Batash is the king of the sprints this season.
You can tell how rusty we are. We forgot
something
about
will come at him, won't they? Something will come at him.
But that is interesting. Look, we're all learning as we're going. It's all new. This is unprecedented times, but listen, the right horses are tending to winning. And how many times is the market getting it right at the moment? So, well, let's see if that's the case as we move up to Newcastle then. What a week Newcastle have been having. They launched the show back, of course, on Monday. That superb first race with the two stablemates. And here we've got a cracking handicap for you. The 205 over the 7 furlongs. And here we can see the graph. Darrick, surprise, surprise, John Gosden, a horse that's got lots of good all-weather form. And Vitrolite, the second favourite in there, was really well backed for Carl Burke, who's having a pretty good week himself, actually. A couple of near misses with some gambles the stable have had. And you like one against them, Bruce, don't you? Red Bond for Keith Dalglish. So competitive stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I'm taking a bit of a chance here with Keith Dalglish. I've actually tipped him for the first 2 races at Newcastle, but his form since the resumption, I mean, it's just literally all duck eggs. So that's a slight concern. I don't think, I mean, I'm no James Herriot, but I'm pretty sure this isn't the time of year that if a stable is out of form, it's because they've got a bug in the yard.
It can't be.
I would say it's just that maybe it's a deliberate ploy to maybe just have a slightly more gentle start and then start firing a little later on. I think, you know, certainly certain trainers are the difference between a yard where they're desperate to get them ready as soon as possible, and the ones that are taking the time, you will see that in the form, won't you? You'll both see it now this week, where the stables where they've obviously decided to hit it hard and really make sure that they've come out firing, they're going to have all the success. And maybe the ones that just say, look, we'll just take our time and we'll start getting them ready for a little bit later in the campaign, that's going to be reflected. So I think trainer form is really, really going to be an important thing for punters to consider in the first few weeks of the season.
Red Bond, the third favourite that we saw on the graph there, around about 6s, wasn't he? With Ben Sanderson on. He's a pace angle in this race, I think. Front runners at Newcastle. They used to say right at the start, well, you clever stats boys, you know, and the sectionals boys out there were like, this is going to be fantastic, Newcastle, because it's a closer's track. We love it, we love it, love it. But sometimes they dawdle along, don't they? And you can get away. If you get away, you know, away before that hill, he's on and gone. And he should have some residual fitness as well. I mean, one on the old weather already this year, of course. It's just whether Darrick might have the class edge potentially, and that Vitrolite, I can see him going well. My selection in this was a lay of Darrick, actually. I just thought he was a little bit too short, considering he's shown his hand a little bit. I thought that Kempton defeat last time, when he was last seen, just took the gloss off him a little bit. I can see the race being run to suit, but I think...
Are you going to go place lay or lay to win?
I think I can. He's a travelly thing, so I can see him bang there. But I just think that there might be one or two more resolute, and I think there might be one or two better treated. It's certainly Carl Burke's horse. I think we didn't see the best of him last year. He looked like he might be a smart one. He's got some room in his handicap, Mark. So I'd be happy to take him on with him. And I can see Red Bond giving him a race. I think if they get to Darrick inside the final furlong, the head might go up.
It's funny, isn't it? Because although it's a competitive-looking handicap on the ratings, the market suggests that you've got, you know, Darrick and Vitrolite are absolutely dominating. Red Bond's... King of Tonga, there's a move for him as well. Red Bond has really suddenly started drifting. He was 7 a minute ago and he's now 9.6. and then obviously huge prices on the outside. So the market doesn't see it as ultra competitive. I mean, I think Darek is the first of the many mentions we're going to make of John Gosden today, because he's such a feature of so many of these races, and if he gets on a roll, there will be Gosden multiples flying around, won't there? So
you wouldn't want to play poker with Gosden, because he always comes out every season. He talks about whether the flowers are where they should be, or whether the spring is as, how it should be. No complaints from John on that front. He did say last week, let's face it, mine are going to need a run, not just physically, mentally. Of course, he's operating at a 38% strike rate, and the short ones are winning. So yeah, look, obviously he should be favourite on what he's done. Yes, he's a hand-down horse with the breeding, and he's had a few problems though, like I say, and I don't think he's the most resolute. He has won at Newcastle, of course, and we're now seeing, certainly up north as well, horses that will be having their first ever all-weather runs. King of Tonga being one of them. A horse that started off with Richard Fahey and has now gone to David O'Mara. David O'Mara's had a bit of a slow time so far with Danny Tudhope. Crazy year last year, didn't he? It's crazy, stunning year last year. They are a little bit slow. So again, a bit to prove. Going back to what you said about these horses being ready, I guess with someone like a Keith Dalglish or, the smaller yard, the pressure's not on, is it? But, your Gosdens, your Stouts, your Haggises.
I'm not sure. I think the pressure is on, because don't forget they've got a stable full of owners who have kept paying the bills, and they need some return. So, I think they are all under pressure. We better put a bet on for Barry, haven't we? What are we doing here, mate?
Yeah, here, I like Varolite. I just thought that he could try to get out and make all, which he did twice last year to really good effect in Haydock. He's a horse that I do like. I think the 7 furlongs will be perfect for him. And I'm going to back him, Bruce, but I'm going to put in to lay him in running just to get my stake back.
Okay.
So if we have 40 quid on him.
40 quid.
Yeah. If you go on there and you're looking at, he's currently 4.4.
Yeah, that's been done. That's been done. Have I confirmed that? Yeah. Right, that's okay. That's all on. And then what? And then I'm going to hit lay, yeah?
Yeah, you go over to the lay side and you select to lay him at 4.4.
They are going in, boys. They are going in.
You want to lay him at 4.4?
Well, we backed him at 4.4. Lay him maybe. I'm not getting greedy here.
Let's lay him at 3. Here. Come on, 3.
See, the enemy
They're
of
going
all
in, boys. We need to be
greed.
quick here.
Come on, I'm gonna lay 3 for 40. Yeah.
Put him into lay him at 3 for 40 quid. Yeah,
okay,
and
mate.
we'll keep that bet.
Starters ready, guys, and they're off and running in the 205, the 7th furlong heat. This is going to give Bruce a little bit more time to get them sorted. As ever at Newmarket, Bruce, they're going straight down the middle of that arrowhead.
Come on, you're getting your Newcastles and your Newmarkets mixed up. You're rusty. Right then, we've got 7 furlongs, and cutting out the early running is Salatine from the grey on the outside, which is called a Prince. Close up in the Midland colours is Red Bond, and also right there is the top one, Queso. But a clear leader, a length and a half, Salatine now.
Yeah, Vitrolite's been a little bit
drifted like mad.
He's been a little bit keen. He was a little bit lit up early there. Now, this is typical of what happens at Newcastle. If you're watching this, you can see that they're just steadying the pace. The front runners are trying not to go off too hard because it's a really stiff finish like it was on the turf track. What about Darek? He's being niggled. How's my lay looking?
He's all right. He's 3.3. Vitrolite's come back in because he wasn't looking great, was he? Vitrolite's just settled in 4th. So it is still Salatine cutting out the running. Trying to make a move on the inside is Red Bond. On the outside is Queso. Also coming there very comfortably now is Darek. Darek looking very, very good.
He is a traveller.
Vitrolite is coming there as well.
Come on,
Red
Vitrolite.
Bond has just hit the front.
Come on then, Colbert.
Red Bond has hit the front, but here comes Darek on the near side, and coming through on the outside is Vitrolite. Vitrolite is coming through. The big two are stalking each other. Darek on the inside, Vitrolite on the outside. Darek's got up. Darek's going to win it. The favourite wins again. Darek wins it. The market's got this right. Darek wins by half a length. Vitrolite is second, and Red Bond is a clear third.
Oh!
And they were well clear of the rest. So, an interesting race. And, Barry, we've got some money. Well played, my friend.
Well, we got matched. We didn't lose. That was the main thing.
Well, hang on a sec, my friend. Actually, I'm giving you some credit here. You were the one who wanted to back it at 4.4 and lay at 4.3.
Yeah,
I stepped in.
This is why he's been in the game since 2003. He's not lost anything.
If you go back to the screen, we are now 56 quid up on that race, Barry. So
yeah, and he traded at 1.40, which is 2 to 5. Bruce, he traded at that in running. He hit a low at 2 to 5 in running. The winner hit a high at 3 to 1, 4.1 in running.
I'm not surprised actually, because when he burst through into the final into the final furlong, it looked like he got it. But that move was covered by Robert Haviland so quickly, wasn't it? And and Goslar is up and running with Darek. So, not a great start for the bookies.
Multi's on the move for fixed odds bookies for sure, containing John Gosson runners. And obviously we're straight on now to the 225, where he's got another short price favourite here in Newmarket.
Yeah, we'll just tidy up this Newcastle race. You're right, the market got it absolutely spot on. Darek, I'll tell you what's an interesting one. He's obviously not far off a pattern horse. I think if you backed him out there, you're absolutely delighted, because the one thing you've not seen him do actually so far is really sort of stick his head down. If I was Vitrolite's rider, Ben Curtis, did I go a little too soon? Potentially. But Red Bond, if there's one horse that you're going to take out of there, it's got to be him, because he likes to get on with it. That was never going to happen. He was bombarded for the pace. He didn't have his ideal scenario, and yet he's run on really, really strongly. Good shout, Bruce.
He stayed on well, and they've although with just over a furlong to go, it looked like it might be one of the most exciting races you ever saw. The actual front three have kicked well clear. Darek was never bigger than 3.8 in the run, so I don't think, punters ever had a great amount of sweat on there. But it did look, as you say, like we were going to get the whole lot with Vitrolite, didn't it? But anyway, good trading, Barry. Well done. We're off and running, and we've got a few quid in the bank for charity. So let's hope we can spin that up as the afternoon progresses.
There's your result then on the screen. Darek, another favourite going in. Yeah, absolutely. The book's taking a hammering. Happy days. Vitrolite, definitely a horse to take out of it going forward. Going to be sharper for that run. And Red Bond, he's going to find easier assignments than that, I think, for Keith Dalglish. You'll be pretty pleased with how that run. Okay, that's Newcastle joining the party. So back to Newmarket we must go shortly. Let us know you're out there. Racing Post Live for the Betfair Exchange. Myself, Dave Orton, Bruce Millington in the seat, and Barry Orr, the big hitter from Betfair, who is going to get a little bit braver with the trades. Barry, are we going to get a little bit braver? Have we got more in-running lays coming up for people?
Yeah, we have. Yeah, we have a couple coming up later on. But I suppose in this race here in the Dahlia Stakes, I think I'm going to take the favourite on.
Yes.
At the price, I think she's a lay. She traded at 2-1 on the day she got beaten Newbury. Now, the ground was a little bit softer than she's going to encounter today. She will enjoy the ground today. There's a lot of fillies in here as well that are just a bit of black type hunting. Everyone knows that obviously this is a Group 2 race, and a nice bit of black type for these would go down a treat for them in the breeding sheds. But I love seeing these fillies stay in training as older fillies, and there can be no end of improvement in some of them. Queen Power, for me, I think is one that could beat the favourite. I think Eva Marie, who's a massive price, has a chance as well. Handicap winner there last day. But just at the price, I think the favourite's worth taking on a filly at nearly even money, 2.08, I think, at the moment.
Once again, we're agreeing, Barry. We've got to get it right at some point, haven't we? This is the Dahlia Stakes, of course, the Group 2 Dahlia Stakes. Michael Stout's got a really good record in this. He trains Queen Power as well. It's my pick. I backed it a little bit earlier in the week. She was into 11 to 4. She's coming out now, Bruce, isn't she, a little bit? And they're piling onto this favourite. Frankie factor?
Well, Gosden factor probably as much as anything else.
Shout.
I think we need to clear up Dahlia and Dahlia, mate.
Is it Dahlia? I've been calling it Dahlia for years.
If it's a flower, it's Dahlia.
Yeah, so you'd know more about that than me.
Why?
That's middle-aged. That's middle-aged life coming to you. See, I couldn't tell you what was in the garden.
I couldn't tell you what was in difference between us.
Even with lockdown, I couldn't tell you what was in my garden. I got poppies in my garden. I'm not a Percy thrower.
Fair enough. But anyway, the flower is called Dahlia, and I presume the filly after whom this race is named is also Dahlia, so it's Dahlia. I've been
going on to media calling it Dahlia for years. No one's corrected me until now.
I might be wrong, but anyway, it doesn't matter. The key is who's going to win it, and I go against you guys. I'm going to go with Terabellum just because I do think that the way Gosden has got his horses coming out, they mean business. He's not messing about here. He is here to mop up early on, and I would imagine look to go right through to autumn, picking up prize money as and when he can. And I think she's good. I think she's got the best form. I thought the run in Paris wasn't too bad last time to culminate a campaign. I did a show with some of the Racing Post guys yesterday, and they were all very sweet on Queen Power.
Yeah.
Not really shared by the market though. 5.5, and she's drifted out to that. So I think Magic Lily's going to be very interesting. I think this is the sort of race that, Connections, they know what they're doing with this one. This is a target race for the likes of for Appleby, isn't it? And I think she's going to give the favourite something to think about, but I'm happy to go with Terabellum. The only trouble is, Barry, you know that when you're backing a Gosden Frankie favourite on a Saturday, you're never actually getting value, are you? You're paying a fair old premium to back a horse with a lofty rating and those connections, aren't you?
Yeah, very much so. It was significantly bigger. It was 13-8 in the exchange, 2.62, 2.64 earlier this morning, Bruce. There's been bombs of money, for absolute bombs of money, nearly over 750,000 matched in the race already. Nearly even money we made, 204. And for me, I think that's the bottom that the price is going to go. I can't see her going odds on. She has gone significantly shorter because Queen Power has been so weak in the market. Was around the 3.75, which is 11-4 this morning, out to 9-2 now. Significant drift to her. I thought her run in the Ribblesdale was a cracker last year. The horse that beat her obviously went on to carry all before, won an Irish Oaks at Prix Vermeil, and the Champions filly in Cheltenham, Starcatcher, did. But she's friendless in the market. Magic Lily for Charlie Appleby, very, very strong at around the 11-4 mark. Eva Marie, it's 45-1, bar those three at the head of the betting. But for me, there she goes. Terabellum gone odds on now, 197. I'm just going to wait. Her price continues to drop, and I'm just going to wait a little bit longer. I think we've got a couple of minutes yet before we have to go and lay our bet, Bruce. But at 197, Bruce, if you put that in around 198, I'd be happy to lay it to lose 50 quid there.
Shall I go cheeky and go 195 and just see if we can get ahead of the lay, yeah?
Yes.
50 quid lay?
You're a terrible greedy man. The enemy of the punter is
all
greed.
right. What are we going to go then? She's back out to 2. 198.
Go 198. Put her in for 198. So what we're doing is we're setting our own odds, which you can do on the Betfair Exchange. We want the layer at 198. So that will go into the pink column on the right, the lay column, and it will appear there at 198. And we want someone to come in and back us. That's going to be in the back column. Sorry.
It's going to happen.
Yeah. The 198, it's there for someone to back now.
There we go.
197.
Ooh.
So we've been matched.
We're in.
It's appeared in the column on the left-hand side, and we've been matched. So I'm happy. I think we've done the right thing there. We've definitely done it at the right price, considering she was 13-8 against this morning. But her contraction in price is due to what initially was the second favourite, Queen Power, being so weak in the market.
And if you look at the screen there where I'm circulating the mouse, the key figures are the red and green ones there. So basically what that means is that if Terabellum wins the race, we lose £49. And if any of the others win, you can see all those green figures there, we win 50 quid. So we've got 6 of the 7 running for us. Sadly, Barry's picked the one that's going to win, but that's absolutely fine. That's fine.
Well, we should say the boys at myracing.com. Good to have you back, boys. They've gone for Terabellum as well. Check out myracing.com for some expert analysis and tips. Now, this race, we've got basically 3 that are dominating the market. And, I mean, it's a mixed bunch, isn't it? I think we can say that. Usually, the Dahlia is that. And the boys in blue have got a good record in this. They won it with Wahida 2 years back, and Usherette, you remember Andre Farb? She ran in her colours as well. She was one of my favourites, she was. There we can see it on screen. Magic Lily is holding her position quite nicely, isn't she?
She is.
She's got to give the penalty away, which will be tough. They're identically rated, according to the handicap of these 2 fillies, for Godolphin, 110, but there's £3 between them. And
David, I wonder what Stouty's approach is going to be, because he's obviously, you know, the senior trainer in Britain and, you know, an absolute master of his craft. But even for him, this is different. And his game is to just ease his way into the season and then start, you know, ramping it up as we get towards June and July.
Yeah.
So I wonder how his approach has changed as we've gone into it, and whether, you know, that he's if there's a trademark of Stout, it is bringing older horses along.
Like Queen Power.
Yeah, exactly. But the market doesn't necessarily believe. Now, I'm not always, to me, I never fear a drifter. I never, ever fear a drifter unless it reflects the fact that the horse is going nuts in the paddock or whatever, but with no crowd there.
Well, the Gosden factor, as you mentioned, the Frankie factor, the boys in blue, they're ramping it up as well. So everything points towards Terabellum for the Saturday punter, doesn't it?
But Barry, if you look at horses that drift, sometimes they're just... It's not that there's no stable confidence, is it? It's simply that they're backing other horses against it. If you back a horse, the way that a market works, a pure market like a Betfair Exchange, other horses have to drift, don't they? It's as simple as that. So you shouldn't always fear a drift, should you?
No, that's the pure maths of it, really, Bruce. Common sense will tell you if one horse contracts in price, the other horses are going to extend in price, and that's the pure market. Like you say, all these Betfair markets bet to 100%. There's no margins in it. You're betting against other punters. You're not betting with a traditional bookmaker. That's why there's no margins in it. And at the moment, it's Terabellum, obviously an even money chance. Queen Power very weak. It's interesting what you say there about Sir Michael Stout. I don't think he'll change his modus operandi. I don't think he'll change that at all. He's very focused on what he does and brings those fillies through nicely and slowly. This filly will probably need the run, but that's not to say that she couldn't win the race. So again, to agree with you, I don't think a drift on a filly like this would put me off as much as maybe if these were 2-year-olds and they had been joint favourites early in the morning and one went to even money and the other finished up a 5-1 chance. That would put me off in a 2-year-old race. So you can't generalise about drifts. I think you have to be very focused on yards, on what sort of races they are, and take various different things into account, such as going and things like that.
Seconded, Barry. We've got a comment on YouTube before. They are just starting to come out onto the track. We can see here on our screens. I should say that Queen Power, she can be quite buzzy, but she looks quite nice and relaxed to me. Let's have a look at the comment. Wayne on YouTube. Good to have you, Wayne. Surely to God, Queen Power is too big at 4. Surely to God, Queen Power is too big at 4s.
Well, I wouldn't be totally surprised if that was true. And I think Wayne, if you see a price like that and it looks too big, you've got to take it. And this is what we were saying just now with Barry. Don't fear the drift. The bigger the drift, the bigger the price, and the more money you get back. And there's nothing really physically happening on that racecourse to make you think that drift is anything other than punters having their opinion. And if their opinion is different to yours, that's fine. We can see her going down to the start. She's a beautiful looking chestnut, and she's going down extremely calmly under SDS, and I'm sure she'll do her running.
Here's something that's interesting, chaps, with the paddock drift at the moment. Normally, you've got bookies reps looking around, going and checking them out. We've got no representation on course at the minute. So if something is going mental or whinnying, or it's green, or it looks like it might be in seed, anything like that, it's very hard for the market to pick up on that at the moment, isn't it?
This is something I was thinking about, actually. And, you've got, say, a great paddock judge like Ken Pitterson.
Yeah.
Is he able to look at them in the paddock on TV and glean anything? This is what I don't know. Because if you haven't got paddock judges, particularly with those 2-year-old races, the market is missing that kind of key factor, isn't it?
Exactly. So it can't be that someone has seen her on track, probably at the moment, and gone, she's not ready at all, is it? It can't have that much of an influence on it. And again, she's going down quite nicely, Queen Power, at the moment.
Having said that, Dave, I've got to correct you on something there. You said that you've got bookies PR reps in the paddock. What do they know about it? You think they've got a clue? They don't know which end they eat out of and which end they poo out of.
Let's face it, and that's borne out by a man that only wants to lay 0.01 of a point and is in running betting, isn't
Barry,
it?
seriously, can you look at horses in the paddock and say that looks great or that doesn't? Because I've been watching horses run for 40 plus years and they all look the same to me. There's grey ones and there's brown ones and they all look identical. When people say he's not a big horse or he's massive or he's tiny, I just can't see it. I don't know what it is.
Shame on you, Bruce.
I've got this blindness. I just can't see them. But you ride horses, don't you, Barry? So you know what you're doing.
I don't know whether I know what I'm doing, but I've seen them enough times that I do have a bit of an opinion on them. You can see when you're at the races, if a horse looks a bit big or has it carrying a bit of condition. I wouldn't consider myself anywhere near the class of Ken, who really is at top of his game when it comes to being a paddock judge. And it does influence the market sometimes, not massively. But like you say, if a 2-year-old got a bit coltish or is playing up in the ring, that can obviously have effect on his price. But I think if you're going racing as long as you have, Bruce, you've either turned your mind off to how the horses look and you don't want to learn. But if you do want to learn, there's no better place. Go on racing and look at them.
I do want to learn, and I stood once next to someone who does know what they're doing, and they started talking me through it, and
you just lost interest.
I don't know. It's not that I lose interest. I want to know. It really frustrates me, but I just can't see the difference. I get that they've got that sort of crease in their rump, that line of fitness. I understand that. Are you a paddock judge?
Well, I understand about the unfurnished and the scopies and the anglers. I remember Sir Michael Stout's former wife Pat, wasn't it? Pat's that we used to use her all the time at the post, and we used to get calls down at Race Farm in the office when I used to be down there. She'd come on and she'd give us all these paddock notes. Whenever she gave us a good sort, her, or Steve Mellish, who we used to use a good sort, we used to, us boys in that department, we'd always take that. But if a horse gets sweaty beforehand or something like that, you could see that.
Yeah, anyone can see that,
demeanour.
of course. Or if they're going
the
down,
physicality of the horse,
yeah, I'm talking about the physicality. So I wish I could, and I admire the people who can do it. But then again, against that, if you see Willie Mullins horses lolloping around the paddock before the Champion Hurdle and the Gold Cup, you're not telling me they look great. They're hairy, and he doesn't care. They just run.
Yeah.
I always say, you see Paul Scholes coming out the tunnel, are you telling me he's going to be the best player on the pitch?
This favourite's gone short again now. Well, it was into 190 at one stage. It's drifted back out to around the 198 mark. Magic Lily is holding her own against the favourite at the head of the market. It's currently just 3.45, and Queen Power, like we said, she seems to be on the slide. Not many people looking to back her, but yes, the boys in blue at the head of the market still even money and 5-2. A few quid coming from Magic Lily again. Yeah,
but answer me this as well. There's one fundamental change we've got about how horses are priced up is there's no on-course bookmakers, of course, at the moment, is there? Would that affect things that much, Barry, do you think, on a big day like this when normally you'd have that big heaving ring? Or is the opinion of the on-course ring pretty much the same as off-course, so it's not a factor? I just wonder how much not having on-course bookmakers is going to change the way markets are, because this market's static, isn't it?
Yeah, the on-course bookmakers, Bruce, in reality don't have much of a say at all. It's the exchange markets, specifically Betfair, that would determine what price they go. Like if it's 1.98 or 199 to lay on Betfair, it's probably 10-9 on with the books in the ring if they're there to bet. And the majority of money, maybe 90% of the money bet is off course now as well. So I don't think that the on-course bookmakers, while they add a lot of flavour and colour to race meetings, from an industry point of view, their prices, there's not a massive input.
They are going in, guys. We should say into the stalls. Are we on? We're happy with everything. How's the bet
we've
looking?
laid Terabellum at 1.98, and she's back to 1.98. So we haven't lost out. We'll just have to wait and see what happens. Magic Lily just flicking out a little. She's been around about 3.4, 3.5. She's out to 3.6, and Queen Power, having been round about 6.2, has just come in slightly. But there's nothing doing really. I think anyone who's got an opinion on this has already expressed it.
Are we expecting Frankie to bounce out here, chaps? There's no obvious front runner. We don't know whether the Rags might. Maybe Sweet Promise has shown a tendency to go on with it a little bit, but he could just control it. And Queen Power, in her last race at Windsor when she flopped, she was far too keen. So it'd be interesting to see whether she's settled down. That's a key for Queen Power, I think.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure how this will be tactical. I don't think. I mean, there's going to be no great scramble over to the rail. I think this will just be they'll bide their time. But we'll see. The yellow flag is raised. They will be off very, very shortly.
This is usually a trial for the Duke of Cambridge, of course, at Royal Ascot. That's where the winner of this will be getting quotes for.
If this Terabellum does win very quickly, Barry, there's going to be a bit of a Gosden snowball developing, isn't there?
Yeah, we spoke about it before racing, didn't we, Bruce? It's all going to be going on to Volcanic.
Off and running, guys. We'll get back to that. And Bubble and Squeak, Bruce, has taken the initiative.
Yeah, the long shot Bubble and Squeak. Coming up the inside and grabbing that rail, actually, is Magic Lily. Magic Lily is very early into stride and is just stalking Bubble and Squeak. You've got Ardente, David Simcock's filly on the rail in third. Just slightly keen is Terabellum, I would say, under Frankie. Nothing to worry about, but just, nice and fresh. And then let's see where Queen Power is. Queen Power's settled in 6 of the 7 runners. So they're making their way along the 10 furlong course here. And Bubble and Squeak. Anything much in the way of a market move, Dave?
You wouldn't say that. I mean, it's not what they call a married man's gallop. I never really understood that, but it's quite a steady gallop. And Bubble and Squeak's got it all her own way. Just looking for Queen Power. She's settled okay now. She's definitely settled.
She's out though. She's out to 8.6,
wow.
Isn't she? She's
just tracking the. She's just tracking the favourite, isn't she? Just
even money, Terabellum.
Well, it's funny
actually.
She's
had a little look around there.
Because the 3 market principles are actually the ones off the rail. The 4 outsiders are the ones that have banked that rail. So you've basically got almost, if you were to disregard the 4 outsiders, you've got a race between the front 3. You've got Magic Lily 2 clear of Terabellum, and then another 2 lengths back to Queen Power.
Coming up to
William
the 3 furlong
giving
pole,
the
lads.
office now to Magic Lily, but Frankie's got everything covered.
Now
The
they're
only
racing.
danger, it looks nice. Queen Power coming up on the outside of the favourite.
She's way out of her
Queen
ground.
Power's
isn't
off
she?
the bridle though. Magic Lily takes it up now, but Terabellum absolutely stalking. Frankie is sitting there.
Come on,
and as
Queen.
Mark Johnson says, taking, dead,
Come on, the
aim.
Queen.
Queen Power though is suddenly quickened.
Come on, Queen.
And is a factor, and Frankie now gets busy. Frankie takes it up.
Come on,
but
Queen.
Queen Power is a threat on the outside. Magic Lily falls away.
Come on,
Looks like
Queen.
she's going to be third. But Terabellum is just about in front. Looks to be holding Queen Power. Terabellum by a length as they come up towards the line. Terabellum by a length. Queen Power's run really well. Magic Lily a length and a half back in third. Terabellum wins it. Queen Power second. Magic Lily third. Long way back to the rest. Again, the market gets it pretty much bob on.
Good call, Bruce. And it was a case of Frankie making the move at the right time. And it just looked like Queen Power under SDS, Sylvester de Souza was going to come and get her, but you have to say that it's Gosden, it's sharp and they're ready. Magic Lily didn't find that much, did she? She was giving away the £3. She's only been beaten around about 2 lengths. You could argue she's the best horse at the weights, but I think with Terabellum, the young horse, lesser miles on the clock, she's got to be a warm order now at Ascot, I'd imagine.
I'd say so, yeah. I mean, that was pretty impressive, Barry, wasn't it? And again, it wasn't a race with huge market fluctuations if you look at the in-running graphs, which are always so fascinating. So, I mean, it's one of my favourite features of the Betfair exchanges is that you can go back and you can kind of see a metric value on how each horse ran and how the market rated its chances at each part of the race. But if you look at Terabellum, obviously was drifting at evens before, or trading at evens beforehand, went out slightly to 2.2, but then all of a sudden that red line just points downwards because the market was quite clear that once Frankie made his move, that was that.
Yeah, they didn't go much of a gallop, did they? It turned into a bit of a sprint really from the 2.5 furlongs out. Queen Power hit a low of 2-1 in running, but I think she was always fighting an uphill battle to try to get to even to the girth of the winner. And the winner's done it impressively. She looks a really nice filly. I don't think I've done much wrong later there. She's 10 from 25 for the Prince of Wales now. And that's something that I'm sure she'll probably go for. But like you said, Dave, she was getting the £3 off Magic Lily. I'm sure Magic Lily will come on for that run, as will Queen Power. I think the favourite just obviously well ahead of the rest of them at this stage of the season.
Yeah, that's a good point. Probably the now filly. I think if you're talking about one that was inconvenienced in the pace, it probably was Queen Power. Getting so far back. I think they're fighting a losing battle with her this season on that front. They're going to be hostage to fortune, aren't they? Because she is buzzy. She's the sort of horse that you can't just try and negate, that kind of pace bias with, really. So, but she will come on a lot for Ascot, you would imagine. The market suggested she will.
3 good fillies there. That's a decent race. I think that form looks rock solid. I think that will be relevant form. They've pulled absolutely miles clear of the rest. And I think if we look back in October, I think Queen Power might be the one that actually you like the most at that point because, you just know, don't you, that Stouty will just bring her along and bring her along. So they're really interesting fillies. I like them all. I think, and again, it's good to see if you're a punter that the form, even though we've had this uniquely disrupted start to the flat season, it's not like a bunch of rags are going in and everything's higgledy-piggledy. The form book is telling you truths. It's not lying to you.
That would be a tougher week, wouldn't it, if it was rags flying in everywhere, like it would have been if it was raining in the UK lockdown. We had that pleasure, didn't we? So thank goodness the form is standing up. Well done racing. Let us know what you thought of Terabellum out there. Will Queen Power reverse that form at Royal Ascot? RP Live, hashtag if you want to get involved by your socials, Twitter, however you're doing it, Facebook. Thank you for joining us. We know you're out there. I'm getting a few messages coming in saying, come on, Dave, you're hitting the crossbar a little bit here. And it has been a slightly frustrating start for me. Have you bagged a winning yet, Bruce?
I backed Terabellum, yeah.
Did you?
Yeah, I did. And I've also, and I'll tell you what, lads, and this is a properly muggy bet today. But I've had this treble.
You've been going on about this treble.
I didn't include her, but I've backed Val Koenig, Pinatubo, and the other Gosden up at Newcastle.
Palace Pier.
Paris Pier. I hate doing those things. I hate falling into that trap because at least one of them always lets you down. But I'm encouraged by the fact that it does look like, as I say, what the form book tells you suggests is happening.
It's the obvious Saturday treble, isn't it?
Yeah, and also I thought I'd do it. Generally speaking, you don't need to do trebles unless the events are running concurrently. But I always think with these things that if the favourites start winning, people lump on. So if you've taken the prices on the treble, then you don't worry too much if the last one collapses.
Well, did it pay about 5? Is what you got, was it?
Yeah, just a shade under 5. Yeah, I don't mind that. I thought it was a reasonable one, and I actually thought of chucking that one in as well, but I didn't. I backed her separately.
And how do you feel about that now, having not done it? You're one of those punters that kind of like...
Don't mind. I don't mind. Do you know what as well? And this is very odd, and it might be a little bit profound for a Saturday afternoon racing programme, but I think the one thing coming out of lockdown, and I don't know how you guys feel, I'm not going to get as het up about losing bets, and I'm not going to worry too much. But I just think when you've lived through these awful times that we've had and seen how people have truly suffered in their tens and hundreds of thousands, does it really matter? Bet responsibly. Don't be silly. Bet with money you can afford. I must admit, I used to find myself getting too worked up about it, and it's a passion of ours, and for us three, it's our livelihood. But I'm determined not to come back from lockdown and start, effing and jeffing about a bad ride, bashing, a bad break and all that. It's not worth it. Life's too short.
Interestingly, for me, to answer your question there, do you know what? Lockdown at the moment has given me a bit more discipline. And maybe that's because we had that enforced layoff. But I come back and I'm like, rather than going, right, I've saved up I've been spending no money on lockdown. I'm going to this is the week I've been waiting for. I'm sure loads of people out there have been doing that. I've missed it so much, I need to do it. It's not the way to go about it, is it? I think it's such an informative week, this. Royal Ascot will be my one, I think, Bruce, where I get ready to unleash a little bit, I think.
Barry, how have punters been? What's the general appetite been for racing since the resumption? Have punters been smashing away, or have they trod carefully, or is it pretty much business as normal?
On Monday, when it all kicked back off in Newcastle, it was particularly strong, Bruce. I think we averaged about, on the exchange, matched volume. Now, that's one half backers and the other half layers. We've seen about £1 million a race on Monday, but it's been steady throughout the week. And obviously, big race today, Racing Post Live on. A lot of that's going to engage a lot of people, as it's on ITV as well, and it's on your racing channels and Sky Sports Racing too. So I think today will really be a good weather vane for how people are engaging with horse racing post lockdown.
Let's have a look up at Newcastle then, shall we? Because we've got the feature race coming up from there. And this is one of my favourite races of the entire flat season, actually. I absolutely love this. I usually try and get down to Ascot. It's that lovely Wednesday that they usually have, isn't it? It's a great card. You really start to get a little bit excited. The weather gets better, all that sort of thing. And, as I mentioned previously on the show, we can see a Gold Cup winner on it. Because, of course, the winner of the Sagaro Stakes usually goes on to have a say in the market then. Withhold is one of these punters, Bruce. Roger Charlton trained. He's got a legion of fans. Tony Bloom, the owner, a legendary punter that we know, owner of Brighton Football Club. First time blinkers on. That's an interesting angle, isn't it? He's got all-weather form, though, and has to be the one to beat.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, before we look at Withhold specifically, this is a superb race, isn't it? And it's so great that they salvaged it and didn't let it go by the wayside. Because, I mean, moving it up to Newcastle, it hasn't lost any of its intrigue. And in actual fact, it's about as competitive and high quality as you're going to get. It's superb. Yeah, Withhold is the horse that punters absolutely love, of course. He's won these big pots in spectacular fashion. Everyone jumping on the Bloom bandwagon.
Well, that's Zarowicz. It was ridiculous.
That was absolutely superb. That was one of the great. Do you know what? I was sitting at Selhurst Park that day, and I'd had a huge bet on Withhold, and we'd lost our first 8 games of the season, Palace. And just as he crossed the line, Wilfried Zaha scored a wonder goal to put us 1-0 up against Chelsea. And I thought, this is possibly the greatest sport is ever going to make me feel. So I will always have a soft spot for Withhold. And I think, if you look at the market principles here, he's the one to beat.
What a pleasure that must have been. Because you knew about halfway, didn't you? And it's Zarowicz with the mile to go.
I know. Absolutely bolted up. It was brilliant.
First time blinkers is an interesting angle with him. Is it because he's a 7-year-old, he might be waking up a little bit? And Roger Charlton, up until he had that winner at Lingfield yesterday, it was called Impeded, it was well backed. The first 3 runners, I covered them at Kempton, I thought to myself, wow, with Quadrilateral, who runs in the 1,000 Guineas, of course, tomorrow in mine. Is Roger a little bit behind at the moment? Not sure. So that would have given them a lot of confidence. It's not just a one-horse race, of course. Mildenberger, who's been winning on the all-weather when it was going before the coronavirus kicked in, he's now got an identical rating as him, and he's won it, on the all-weather. As I said, that's not a problem for him. Is he quite the class? Probably not. Rainbow Dreamer's quite an interesting one. Another one that's been winning at Kempton. And Holly Dog gets on really, really well with him for Alan King, better known, early on as a dual-purpose horse. Ispolini down the line for Godolphin. Charlie Appleby got a 36% strike rate at Newcastle. Loads of winners up there.
This market has changed like mad, because overnight, Withhold Ispolini and Royal Line were the three. And Ispolini and Royal Line have drifted like absolute lunatics. I mean, we're talking about the Gosden factor. I thought they would come for Royal Line here, but he's out to 9.2 on the exchange. It's extraordinary.
This is summing up my days so far. Look, it's early days. It's early days of good change. But I'm on the Gosden Drifter. That's unbelievable, isn't it? How's that managed to happen?
That really has drifted, Barry.
Yeah, it certainly has. What was it, 8-1 now on the exchange? I'm place laying Withhold. I think it's a bad sign that they're reaching for blinkers after to replace the cheek pieces that he's been so successful in. For me, as a 7-year-old reaching for blinkers on him, I just think that's something that obviously he's not showing up at home. He's got good course form. He's having won Northumberland Plate there in 2018. He likes to get off and make the running and have things his own way up front. I don't think that's going to happen today. I think Rainbow Dreamer could tackle him up front, and I think Mildenberg could tackle him up front as well as maybe one of the rags in there, the likes of the horse that come back from Hurdle and Sir
King's
Chauvet.
Advice likes to get on with it, Barry, as well, doesn't he? Do you remember what season he had last year?
With Royal Line, I wouldn't let that drift put me off at all. I don't think that's a significant in a race like this. Obviously, it's a stepping stone, and the same yard have the favourite for the Gold Cup, 11-10 on Stradivarius, who we saw yesterday. But I think the favourite, I'm going to lay him in the place market because he'll either win or he'll be nowhere. That's the way I feel about this, Bruce.
Okay, well, let's get that done then, because I think you're absolutely right. The one thing that, if you back Withhold, you want him to have a nice, easy run of it and to be able to dictate. Yeah. But I don't think the Braveheart battalions are going to let that happen, are they?
Great shout. Yeah,
I wouldn't mind laying him now because he was 186 a minute ago. He's 197 now. So we're probably, if we get in there and lay him to lose 50 quid around the 197 mark, if you can.
I'm going to go 198. I'm going to be cautious. It's only
live.
pennies.
If you're watching
it's only pennies. 198. Okay, let's confirm that. It's continued to drift, Barry. What do I do? Chase it or put a keep bet?
No, leave it there at 198. Leave it there at 198. Yeah,
sure. We're happy enough with that.
We should get matched at 198.
Who wins it, Barry? Never mind who doesn't win.
I thought it was really hard. I thought Naif Road had a chance, and I also thought Prince of Iron, like he's danced every dance, hasn't he? What a horse he's been for the yard. But we should have got done there now. If not, I don't mind going 199 just to get it done for the sake.
No, we're done. We're done. I want to put up a quick word for All Right Sunshine, who's the second of the Dalgleish horses that I tipped, and the first one, Royal Bond, ran okay.
Yeah,
so
it did.
That's banished any concerns I had about the stable form. This horse has got a bit to find for sure, but I thought he was really, really good last year, and I just think that he might step up and might just sneak into 3 or 4 places.
Was it the old Newton Cup when they went on the gamble with him? Do you remember?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And he cruised there. Do you remember? He just lugged in a little bit, and he obviously made amends next time. Really consistent horse that this year, Keith Dalgleish, quite right, will be hoping to step up a bit. And it's that kind of race, I think, guys, isn't it? We've got a little bit of class in there, and some of these horses that are trying to make this next step up. Will it go to the likes of Mildenberger or Rainbow Dreamer, who have that residual fitness, or will it go to a class angle? The pace angle is absolutely fascinating. Couple more to go in, Bruce.
Rainbow Dreamer is the latest to drift like mad, gone out from 7.5 to 12.5 as the market has started to look a little bit more like it did overnight. So Royal Line is back into 7.6. Ispolini is back into 7.2. Mildenberger, very much the solid danger to the favourite. I've got 2 miles to commentate, so I need to have a quick glug of water. So over to you,
Crack on. Withhold now, Barry, nearly touching 4-1. That's a slightly worrying drift. A little bit more coming slightly back. The punters have decided that Royal Line too big at 8s.
Yeah, they've just jumped off there now, and Withhold just manages to get out in front. So it looks like to the first bend that he's going to get things up front by himself.
It's not a particularly strong pace, though, is it? Blimey, I've seen 3.5 mile chases at Ludlow start
You
quicker.
can see why the blinkers are on if you're watching, because he just had to wake him up from the stalls there, Richard Kingscote. Richard Kingscote, superb front-running jockey.
He certainly is. And is that Prince? No, it's not
And
Prince
Naif
Baron.
Road.
It's Naif Road, who's the chosen one to go ahead and do the kind of Carville's Hill job on the favourite. So Withhold, Kingscote has got him going nice and settled. I mean, Kingscote, they always say he's got the softest hands in racing, and they will be delighted with that. What's that done to the market? Weirdly, Barry, Withhold's actually not favourite anymore, despite getting to be exactly where he wants, which is uncontested lead at the front.
Yeah, Mildenberg, him and Mildenberg are just sharing it at the moment at around the 4-1 mark. Naif Road is an 8-1 chance. Royal Line 13-2. Yeah, but I suppose there's a couple of question marks now with him not getting that uncontested lead up front.
Okay, but it is still Withhold who's dictating matters. Naef Road just on his outer.
He's steadied it right down, Bruce. Look at that. That has gone really slow.
Absolutely. Rainbow Dreamer is in third. On the outside, you've got Mildenberger. And then in behind them, Prince of Arran, who is on the outside of King's Advice. Behind that, you've got the All Blue of Ispolini. Let's see where old Royal Line is. He's out the back. He's only got one behind him, which is All Right Sunshine, my one, in the Paul and Claire Rooney colours, of course. That one's being held up. But there's 8 lengths between first and last, and Withhold is in front. Still not favourite, 5, 4.6 Mildenberger. Royal Line out the back, 6.8. One thing about Betfair, they do love a horse being held up out the back. I've never understood why, because it just means they've got more ground to make up.
The hold-up monkeys, that's what they call them, isn't it? But the races at Newcastle, off that bend, they usually come up the centre of the track, and that's when it starts to take shape.
So around about the halfway mark now, and it is still Withhold, and he's still not favourite. Mildenberger, who is in fourth, but on the outer, is just about favourite. They're joint favourites now at 5.
Call it, lads. Call it, lads. What are we looking at? Who would you want to be on right now?
Withhold with bells on.
You know the one in front is going to keep galloping, and while Mildenberger is 4.3, he's travelling well, but he's not sure to get home.
No, I'd be all over Withhold here, no question about it.
Prince of Arran's travelling quite nicely.
He's going quite nicely in 6th. So Withhold leads. You've still got Naef Road in 2nd. You've still got Rainbow Dreamer nicely positioned on the inside in 3rd. On the outside is Mildenberger in 4th. King's Advice is 5th. Prince of Arran is 7th. Ispolini's just starting to wake up and come into it in 8th. From Jeremiah, and then Royal Line very patiently ridden out the back with Sir Chauvelin, and back marker is All Right Sunshine as the pace just begins to pick up. And Withhold comes off the fence and comes down the middle of the track. And he's being shadowed now by Naef Road. Withhold is on the drift. Warning signs are up now. Rainbow Dreamer coming there. Milner coming there. Naef Road coming there.
All right, Sunshine's launching, Bruce.
It certainly is, but I think they've got too much. So they're not going to come from the back. Rainbow Dreamer looking a big threat now to Naef Road. Mildenberger trying to come on the inside. And good old Prince of Arran's coming there as well. Withhold has dropped back.
Aaron. He's going to pick him up.
Is he Prince of Arran going to come and get it? No, he's not. They're very similar colours. This Naef Road is going to do it. Naef Road, but here comes Mildenberger. It's a 1-2 for Braveheart. Naef Road wins it. Mildenberger 2nd, and in 3rd, good old Prince of Arran. From 4th, Rainbow Dreamer.
Naef Road taking the next step for Mark Johnson, as Bruce said in commentary, filling 2 of the 3 places. I was really sure that Prince of Arran was going to come through with it there, but he's found extra, hasn't he? He's an interesting horse, this Naef Road. He started off in handicaps, like so many marks do, and they've just gone through. Mildenberger would be a benchmark for the form in the race. He's had that fitness. He came into it on a hat-trick. We know kind of that he's a solid 110 horse. I mean, let's face it, lads, we're not looking at a Gold Cup winner there. I don't think Stradivarius is going to be worrying too much about that in his box, is he?
No, I wouldn't have thought so. 8-1. Good, sensible ride, exactly where you want to be.
Yeah.
It was, if you back Withhold, everything went right until the final 2 furlongs. Unfortunately, he ran out of gas. I'm not quite sure what the story with that is. Royal Line never got into the contest. It was a bravey 1-2. Good old Prince of Arran. I mean, what a lovely horse he is. He's run a really nice race under Stevie Donahue. They tried to launch All Right Sunshine from the back, but
he's
it was
the eye
all
catcher,
too late.
right?
Yeah, but again, are you going to quicken past all of those?
No. So what you're saying is that Tudhope gave him a lot to do.
He gave him plenty to do. I mean, and it might be that actually that is the optimal way to ride him, and he's just not quite up to that standard. He's run a good race in 5th. There's a couple of disappointments there for sure. Royal Line, Ispolini as well. So you looked at, if you remember, we said at the start that those 3 dominated the overnight market, and they weren't cited because Mark Johnson a 1-2 with Naef Road. And
that King's Advice ran well as well. He was what, 40-1 or something like that just before the off. That puts him back on track, I think. I think he was 5th or something like that. Prince of Arran, that was absolutely stunning. He's always there, isn't he? Melbourne Cup probably for him a little bit later on. Ispolini disappointed. Royal Line disappointed. Keen throughout, and okay, the pace wasn't with him, but the drift was right on that.
Kudos, hang on. Kudos is due to Mr. Orr because he didn't fancy Withhold. And was there any point there during the race, Barry, where you thought, hang on a sec, I've got this wrong, this horse is going to make all?
Yeah, I must admit, Bruce, I thought 3 out, it looked like, because he's going to gallop, but I don't know. It looks like something's wrong with the horse, maybe in that they've reached for the cheek or for replace the cheek pieces with the blinkers, and he hadn't got the heart for the fight this time round. Like usually he'd keep sticking his neck out and keep wanting to get to that winning line, but today they just swamped him. Maybe, I don't know, maybe it's just he's going to improve significantly for the run potentially, but when he was swamped there wasn't a whole lot in the tank left.
Yeah, so fair play, Barry. You got it absolutely right. So he's having a good punting day so far. Your big treble's coming up.
Yeah.
I'm having a bit of a shocker so far. Things can change, but it's not going my way. And we're off and running here on Racing Post Live with the Betfair Exchange. We've got the best is yet to come. Let's just wrap up everything on the Sagaro Stakes. If there's one horse to take out of that for me, Bruce, it's Your All Right Sunshine. He's rated 101. They've got to be looking towards the Ebor for him, surely, haven't they? It's worth so much money. And the handicap is probably not going to go too mad with him there. He's going to come on loads for that. I love the way that he was the only one to get involved from off the pace. I think we've got an Ebor runner there.
Yeah, absolutely. Just one thing we do need to pick up there, Barry, on in running. What was the shortest Prince of Arran got? Because he looked like he traded incredibly short here.
Prince of Arran, I know the winner, I think, the runner-up trade at 1.98. Prince of Arran, what have you got there?
Well, I'm looking at 101. He can't have been, can he?
He cannot have gone 101.
No, he didn't.
What am I looking at?
1.55.
155. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, two's on.
Got very short though, but I mean, he certainly had Dave cooing.
Yeah,
didn't
I was starting to get excited for him just because he's like 7-year-old now, and if you're not involved with your bet in the finish, you always go for the public horse, don't you, all the time. And I would love to have seen him go. And Charlie Fellows will be delighted with that. I'm sure he'll take his place at Ascot, and probably not going to be good enough there. But the Melbourne Cup, the Australians love him for good reason. He's danced every dance, as Barry said. So that was the Sagaro Stakes. Interestingly, it's a sand-based track at Ascot. It's a leading trial, but like I said, Stradivarius probably tightened even more on the back of that, I would imagine.
No, he's still 11 to 10 on. He was 11 to 10 on. Yeah, he was 11 to 10 on yesterday before he ran in the Coronation Cup. We kept him at 11 to 10 on, and that hasn't changed either off the back of that run. Nayef Road, incidentally, the winner was cut on the sportsbook from 66 to 1 into 20 to 1 for the Ascot Gold Cup. Shaping up, Stradivarius he's got a few contenders now this time round. Obviously, Kew Gardens in there, and I don't know whether Nayef Road is a genuine Gold Cup horse, but he's been cut significantly with the sportsbook off the back of that win.
What did you make of Stradivarius yesterday, chaps? I think he ran as Stradivarius does, didn't he, over a trip, probably a little bit too short.
I thought the trainer would be very, very happy indeed with that run. Yeah. I think it blew away the cobwebs. It's a fortnight before the Royal meeting. I'd say that'll leave him spot on. And he's sure to go off, I think, odds on, even allowing for Kew Gardens having beat him there and Champions Day last year.
Well, that's got banker material for many. You would imagine at this point, 10 to 11 on, probably will get a little bit shorter, especially, a colleague told me that the middle splits that he did when he tried to, if you remember when Gale just tore at mid-race, and when Frankie was like, hang on a minute, I've got to try and get closer to him here. He wasn't fast enough to do it. But the split that he ran, I think, mid-race for Stradivarius, he's not slow at all, is he? He can overcome those dawdles.
This is another thing where I glaze over.
The splits.
Sectionals.
Yeah.
Do you get them, Barry, you a sectionalista?
Yeah, I do. I pay a lot of respect to the Times. Yeah, specifically Simon Rowland. He's done some good work on it. Maybe not. I don't know enough about them as I probably should, but I think it gives context to what you're seeing with your naked eye, Bruce. Like we're saying there that Withhold steadied it right down the back straight in Newcastle in the Sagaro, and you see that visually, but it's good to give that an exact context, numerical context, and looking at the sectionals.
The sectionals boys and the visuals boys. That's how they're sort of.
But it shouldn't be like that.
Is it left, right, and centrist? Are you a centrist? Is that what you're saying?
Well, yeah.
Especially not after lockdown.
I don't know what I am, but I just wish there was I still, and I admire Simon Rowlands and all those guys who've devoted their life to this, and they obviously get it, and James Willoughby, and I just feel like it's still something that the average punter, and I'm not just talking about somebody who's a real novice, I still think for a lot of punters, it's like, how do I actually mine any gold out of this? I kind of feel like I'm at that stage. I remember there was a horse on maybe the second or third all-weather championships day, a Godolphin horse called Tryster. Do you remember? And it was, and it did this sectional, and everyone said this is the greatest thing of all time. It was just never sighted.
Visionary
Tell you what
was
is
one last
sighted.
year.
Some pretty windy and wild weather at Newmarket right now.
It is getting hectic there. So the storms that seemingly are now attacking the UK, evening it up a little bit, are indeed at Newmarket. Nearly got mixed up again. I tell you, it's not quite. That's not actually that easy today, is it? You're
struggling there. Thank goodness there's no Newbury as well. You'd be like
the hat trick of rustiness. Yeah, absolutely. This is we're shaking off the cobwebs here on Racing Post Live. Myself, Dave Orton, Bruce Millington and Barry Orr from Betfair. We are getting through it. And I'll tell you what, lads, coming up now, the 3 o'clock at Newmarket, is an absolutely fascinating 3-year-old listed race, isn't it, over a mile 2. Vald Koenig. What price was he at the top of the markets yesterday? Around about 11 to 10, was he 11 to 8?
He was,
Bruce?
yeah.
Something like that.
He's certainly not now.
Okay, what do we got?
The exchange he's 168 now. He's 4 to 6. Can you believe? He's definitely one for chalk here, Bruce. Definitely.
Yeah. Look, I mean, he was so impressive in that little race at Wolverhampton in December. I know that you can say, well, hang on a sec, it was a little race at Wolverhampton in December, but you know, we can't look at those kind of contests anymore and just say, well, it's all very well beating that lot, but what does it actually amount to? Because we've seen so many horses that have been campaigned like that now, and it's meaningful. And this horse is a potential Derby winner. You've got 2 horses here that are in the top half dozen for the Derby betting. So this isn't a race that you would normally home in on if you're trying to find the Derby winner. But I think you need to pay this race the utmost attention.
Yeah, I mean, if you go through the list of previous winners on this race, I've got it up in front of me here. It's a mixed bag. You've got Hawkbill in there, who went on to be a decent horse, and Noble Mission really, but the rest are struggling a little bit. I couldn't find a maiden in the last 10 years having won it. So Al Arzi, he looks like he is the real drifter at the minute, doesn't he? And he was thought to be Haggis's Derby horse last year. They had a few problems with him, I believe, and apparently he's working fine. But you just think that maybe he might be one for something a little bit later on down the line. Punctuation is a very, very interesting horse for Andrew Balding. We're talking about stables that have hit the ground running. My goodness, Andrew Balding is having an absolutely fantastic time. And the classic trial at Kempton was something that seemingly had to step up a lot. Punctuation's got an official rating of 89. He's a whopper, this horse. I can tell you, Bruce, if you were there in the paddock,
even I would.
You would know that this
Okay.
is a giant.
Right,
we'll have a look at him going down. His Kempton win was really good. Big eye catcher first time up. The fact that they're not trying to exploit the handicap mark, they've got a group horse here probably. It's just whether he might be a stayer down the line. Keith Melrose was writing in the paper today, this could be maybe a cup horse of the future. So is Val Koenig the now horse? The one thing you don't mind about Gosden, of course, is if he turns up at Wolverhampton or indeed Newcastle. We know and Abel, a lot's made of that. We talked about the sectionals, boys, Barry. When this won on its debut, it had the likes of Willoughby and Rollins absolutely purring, didn't it? I think the finishing splits were something completely off the chart. So they will be hoping, unlike a couple of red herrings that they put up last year, that this is the one for them. And the market obviously is screaming that we could have a Derby runner here.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought they only really raced when they turned into the straight for Val Koenig that day in Wolverhampton. I think it was really slow up to that point. He kind of cocked his head, turning that sharp bend into the straight in Wolverhampton. But when he was given the office, he really did pick up. But he probably did what you'd expect against the trees he was running against. There was no champions in there. This is going to be a different proposition for him. He's 166. He was 6-4 against at one stage yesterday. He's been backed all the way down to 6-4 on. You're getting in, as laying him now, you're getting in at the right end of the market. You're doing nothing wrong from a price perspective. Vulcan Star is a horse I've always liked. They've gelded him, which is he had been a little bit headstrong in some of his races, and I think that's going to make a man of him. If I'm mixing my metaphors there, but Charlie Appleby, a good record as well, 28% strike rate, I think he has at the moment over the last couple of years in Newmarket, and I think he could do the favour, but there's a host of horses in there. Any one of them could improve enough on what they've already done, and at 6-4 on, I think the favourite is a lay all day.
That's definitely the first time I've ever heard someone say that castration will make a man of him. I actually think the other Gozza, Mishrif, is quite interesting. I mean, he gives a positive word in the Racing Post today about him. I think he likes him, and he's got form in the book, hasn't he? But what I like about Val Koenig is that it's a flashy win in a small race, but it's still enough to give him the top Racing Post rating. And so you're not even betting on promise. you're actually, what RPRs are saying is this is the best form in the
It's a
race.
potentially very interesting story with Valkoenig as well, because he's half-brother to Valdgeist. And who's training him? John Gosden, who, of course, Valdgeist completely shattered the dreams of Enable in the Arc. Could this well be a horse that ends up something like that? For the Derby in mind, Keith Melrose, again, in his excellent piece, when he analysed this in the paper, he said 10 furlongs would be absolutely fine. I'm not totally sure about him with the sire's side, that maybe he might get the mile 4, but this is mile 2, we'll see how it goes. You talked about Mishrif. He's probably got the best form in the race. He's rated 101, so the handicapper of those that have given the marks. He seems to think that all heavy ground with him last year, so we'll see how he bounces off that.
Tell you what.
Have we laid this yet, Bruce?
Oh, no, sorry, what are we doing here? What's the bet?
Come on, you must have muffles in your ear when you're talking to me. We're laying Volcanic.
Oh, we're laying him. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, come on then, let's get this on.
Right,
I mean,
so a 1.7, yeah?
1.7. So we're winning a few quid for the charity after place laying with hold, and we won a few quid in the Viralite race. So let's take 100 quid of the backer stake from him at 171. So we want to.
I can do 1.7, I think, Barry. Let's see if we can do that.
1.7. Take 100 quid to lose 70.
You're nicking money out of the charity tray here, mate, because this is going to win. What are you doing, Barry?
The first leg of Bruce's
Mind you,
big
it's
treble.
drifted. It's 1.74 now. Should I chase it or should we stick at 1.7?
No, go 174. We'd happy to get it done at that. Considering it was 6-4 against, I thought anything from 4 to 5 lower was a lay.
Okay.
And at 1.7 odd.
I'll just talk people through the mechanics of this, Barry, because so we've put the bet up at 1.7. I can go on to my unmatched bets. I can click on that up arrow. You can see it ticking up to 1.74. I update, and there you go. Hey presto, over on the left there. The red figure means that if we've laid 100 of an odds-on short, your risk isn't as much as that. It's what you end up with the red figure. So when Valkoenig wins, we lose 74 quid, and any of the others win, then we win 100 quid. So that's the mechanics of it, and we'll wait and see. Look, I mean, Barry, what I've got to say is that I do think Valkoenig is the best horse in the race, and I think he's going to go on and become a bit of a superstar. But if you're looking at everything has its price, and all bets do need to be judged on value in the end, he's a lot shorter than I thought he would be.
Yeah, and he's a lot shorter than I thought he would be, and I think he's a lot shorter than he deserves to be. I think it's the John Godson, Frankie Dettori factor is at play here again that's making it a bit of a false price. And I do think when you look at the makeup of this field, there could be any amount improvement in a couple of horses in here as well. So he's not a correct price for me, and that's why I think laying him at that, we laid him at 174. We could even cash out now to a little profit as well, I'm sure, if you look at the cash out call there.
Yeah, you can take £1.69.
Okay, well, it's a green number, which is not bad when you're on the Betfair exchange.
Sure.
If everything is green, you'll never lose by taking a profit, Bruce. You know that.
No, I don't like. The only thing with that though, Barry, is if you cash out, you minimise your chance of winning the lot, but you maximise your chance.
That's a whole show in itself.
Yeah, I know.
The merit of using cash out is a whole show in itself. It's worth flagging. Vulcan Star, William Buick's mount for Charlie Appleby, into 7.4 now. It was 11.5 just a couple of minutes ago. So absolute bombs of money for Vulcan Star.
It's relatively interesting that he comes back here. He ran in the Zetland behind Max Vega. That form was a little bit let down in the classic trial that we saw. I analysed that race for the paper. The soft ground was slightly against him. The dip wasn't ideal for him either, I don't think.
Max ran okay at Kempton, didn't he?
He ran okay.
He stayed on right for.
He ran okay. Yeah. He ran okay. I was watching that very closely with Kinross in mind, like I think a lot of people were. He did run okay. Yes, indeed. It's got form. Miss Yoda, of course, I should say, gave that a bit of a boost yesterday. That was some performance, wasn't it, sticking it out?
Absolutely. Given that Valkoenig and Vulcan Star are drawn nearest the fence, do you think there'll be a little battle early on to try and grab the initiative there, or do you think they'll be quite happy to just do their own thing early on? Very
possibly. He's got Cherokee Trail in here as well, hasn't he, Gosden as well? So 3 runners in there. They must be talking about what they're going to do with the tactics of this, of course. I'm on punctuation. I think it's a great each way bet around about 7s.
Big drift.
Yeah, again, I'm not totally sure why that is. Maybe the strength of the favourite.
And also, when you're owned by the Queen, connections aren't exactly.
They're not going to slam on, are they?
No.
Well, as far as we know. He's a big chap, like I said, but how would he go on the ground? He's behind Dan Silly. They usually like fast ground. Barry.
When Vulcan Star won his maiden in Goodwood, he made all that day. Now, again, it was against a lesser sort of field, and they were happy to let him stride on. He didn't settle then when he got beat next time out, when he finished 6th in the race you alluded to earlier. And that's why I think just having cut him now, I think he could settle better. But I wouldn't be too disappointed if William Buick was to go on with him.
They're in the stalls, guys. So, Bruce, get ready to take us away for this fascinating listed heat.
Yeah, it's the Betfair Exchange free bet streak, Newmarket Stakes over 10 furlongs, and they jump off, and the favourite is Slow to Go.
Yeah, not well away at all, is he?
Yeah, it's a pretty level break. I mean, it's not a disaster. I don't think it made up the ground already. It looked like one of them just got pinched back a bit. One of the Jelly's horses, I think that was her second run of Formality.
Yeah.
So as the race begins to take shape, we've got John Gosden and Cherokee Trail blazing the trail. On the outside is Mishrif, the other Gosden runner. On the inside, on that prized piece of real estate there, you've got Vulcan Star in the Gredley colours. You've got Lunacy's in fourth, and then Al Arce. And the favourite is back in sixth place, Vald Koenig on the inside. I don't think there's too much of a worry there. Barry, what's the market reaction to what we've seen so far?
Back Volcanic at evens there just a second ago. Vulcan Star is currently into 6.8, but Cherokee seems to be travelling well. Cherokee Trial, he's a 20-1 chance now. And on the outside of him, Mishrif has come in significantly into 9-2. He seems to be going best of anything.
We're around about halfway now, guys. And
favourite's going to meet trouble in running here.
Exactly, Barry.
Yeah, he's got a wall of horses in front of him now, and this is a big problem for Frankie. On the outside, the other two Gosden runners have got plenty of daylight, and they're going well. On the inside, Vulcan Star is going just fine, but there's a world of bother for Val Koenig. Can he get the gap? It looks like there's a gap now, but he's got a long, long way to go, and he's really going to have to quicken up here. And it looks like the two Gosden runners on the outside are going well. Mishraf, here comes Val Koenig, but it's a 1-2-3 for Gosden at the moment, and Mishrif is the one that's making the best of its way home. Daylight now for Val Koenig, but can he quicken up? He looks like he's changing his legs a lot in the dip as well. It's Mishrif who's making the best of his way home from his two stablemates. I don't think Val Koenig is going to get there. This has got beat. Mishrif is now tearing away. The favourite, Val Koenig, is second, but is being challenged for that by Vulcan Star, who's woken up again. But that's a good performance by Mishrif, who's won the race very easily. I think that Vulcan Star has just about got back up for second to beat Val Koenig, who was in a world of bother. Wouldn't have won anyway. Mishrif did it really, really nicely under David Egan. That's a good performance. That is a good horse. But if you back the favourite, there will be all sorts of chatter. Did Frankie mess that one up? Could he have done anything else? I think the winner's won by 4 lengths, Dave. I don't think there's much room for argument, is there?
It's a race that fell apart, wasn't it? My punctuation is absolutely summing up a Horlicks of a day for me. That was never going. That fell in a hole from halfway. We'll get to that. He ran, of course, in Riyadh, if you remember, on the 29th of February when that meeting went ahead. And he was second there, seemingly well beaten. I think probably if I was analysing this right now, I would say it's probably not the race we hoped for. I would say that the horse with the rating of 101 and the experience got the straightforward run through the race, handled the dip best as well. You made relevance to that. Val Koenig ran all over the place. This is the sectionals, boys, with Val Koenig. How are we looking at another red herring, or is it just, did this come a bit too soon? Was the ground maybe not ideal for him? Vulcan Star, Barry, ran very well on the rail. What price did he go in running? Must have held his price all the way.
Yeah, he ran really, really well, didn't he? Stayed on again past a tired favourite, I suppose, at the finish. He hit a low of 4-1 in running for small money. But the winner's done it very, very well at the finish from what I saw. I thought Volcanic had every chance, really.
But it was strange though, Barry, because Val Koenig's in running price never really seemed to get as big as you thought it might do, given the travails Frankie faced from kind of 3 out to 2 out. He didn't really drift like mad, did he, Barry, Val Koenig?
Have we got Barry? We've lost Barry for a second. We've just lost Barry. It was all going so swimmingly. We'll get Barry back on the line. You're right, though. I was watching it, actually, and I was thinking to myself, are we behind? Are we whatever? Is he sprouting wings? I saw still a lot of 4-6 there. I think people really believed in that horse, didn't they?
They did, and of course, one who didn't was Barry. So well played, a great lay there. We've got another £100 for the charity. We laid Val Koenig. So 10-1, Mishrif.
That's going well.
Won the race. 14.7 the Betfair SP. Vulcan Star was second at 6s, and Val Koenig 8-11. Only third. That is a setback for punters.
Yes, indeed. Treble gone down the first leg.
Never mind.
These things happen. And so, actually, we should concentrate on that treble, not just because Bruce took a little bit of it. Loads of punters out there. Probably, how many of you out there were pinning your day around Val Koenig, getting really excited with that? Any 11-8? Did you snap any of that? Let us know. Racing Post Live here with the Betfair Exchange. We are back. It's on the flat. Cheltenham last time. Here we are, warming up for Royal Ascot in a couple of weeks. Don't forget the 16th of June. Let's maybe just have a little word about Royal Ascot, Bruce. We haven't talked about it yet, really, have we? We've got a chance to do that now. What do you make of these new 7-8 race cards? Are you handicaps for 3-year-olds? Could this be something that takes off, or could it push Ascot into, I don't know, new dimensions?
What are the field size? Are we getting traditional field sizes or not?
Something that we had to check this week, because we've had limits of 12, haven't we, for safety reasons, strict social distancing adhered to on the track. Guineas, of course, breaking that mould today because it's a classic. We've got 15 runners in that all standing their ground.
But are we getting 30 runner Wokinghams?
I've got a feeling we probably will be. We tried to get clarification on it. There was nothing official about it yet that we could find. So, what's a 12 runner Wokingham going to look like?
No, exactly. So that's what I wouldn't be in favour of that. If those extra races are because of that, that's not ideal. It may well be that the fact is Ascot don't know what they can do yet because, we're in phase one of racing's return.
Yeah, I think you're probably right about that.
I will say this about Royal Ascot going ahead, that everything was being cancelled left, right and centre. And I think it was really, really good that Ascot said, they're going to lose a ton of money on this, aren't they? You imagine running a meeting like that without anything there. But they're doing it for the good of the sport because of the interest and because it will give horses a target to run it and it'll give people people to bet on. So I think hats off to Ascot. They could easily have cancelled like everybody else was. And I think we're going to get a great show. It is obviously going to be bizarre. The people who are happiest, of course, are those boring old, and I bet you're one of them.
Go on.
I bet when you're watching,
here we go.
I bet when you're watching ITV racing, and all of a sudden they cut to the fashion.
No.
Bollocks to this! Don't show fashion. I can't stand it. Well, you're not going to have to worry about that anymore, are you? So you'll be laughing.
I tell you, they're very nice that fashion team. You see them in the press room up there. They're great to get on with. But what's all that about? So we're not. There's been some awful sections over the years of that. You're right, all about the racing. And the great thing, I guess, it has been a bit of a them and us with Ascot over the years, haven't there? Now, basically, it's a case of we're open for business. Come and run your horse at Royal Ascot. It's going to be a one-off, like it was when it was at York, to a certain extent, even trippier than that, I guess. But it's on the 16th of June. We cannot wait. We're going to be covering every day live here on Racing Post Live. Who knows what will be, whether we'll be slightly bigger production by that. And as if by magic, I believe we've got the Barry, the big hitter, back. Barry, are you there?
I certainly am. I didn't go anywhere. I never left you. I was watching you guys on YouTube, even in my absence.
Well, Barry, just talk us through what Val Koenig's in running price did, would you? Because, like I was saying before we lost you, it didn't look... looking at the race, it looked like Frankie was in all sorts of trouble. But if you looked at the in-running price, it looked like punters had a lot of faith in him to extricate himself from the problems he was in and go on and win the race.
Yeah, it certainly did, Bruce. He never really, obviously he went off quite short and he just flirted around evens after kind of missing the break a bit. It looked like he was behind, I think you called it as well in the commentary, a wall of horses, but the gap did appear. He did seem to go through the gap okay, but the winner just kept on pulling out more. When he met the rising ground, he did change his legs a couple of times as well. He showed signs of greenness, what you'd expect, but I know hindsight's a great thing, but we did call it beforehand. I thought it was a ridiculously short price for the race he was in. And Falcon Star even got back up for second place. Frankie didn't knock him around then. The favourite after his chances gone and the winner had flown. But he was one for chalk, and thankfully we got another £100 for the charity.
Frankie's decision to go on the rail probably, in hindsight, with that concertina was always going to cost him a little bit. But like you said, Bruce, he wouldn't have won anyway, would he? The right horse has won that. So what is the pot looking at right now?
I don't know, H. I haven't got running balance. Let's have a look.
Go to your P&L.
Oh, right. So my account.
Yeah.
Betting profit and loss.
My Betfair account, yeah.
Just for today.
Account, yeah. Just for today, yeah.
Profit and loss, we are winning 53 quid. Does that sound right?
Does that sound right? So we lost a few 40 in the first, didn't we? We won something small in the second. We lost
Queen's
in the third.
We lost on Queen's Gift. We broke completely even on Vitrolite. Oh, well, that was right because nothing happened there. And then we lost 49 quid when Terabellum won, and then it all started coming right. We won 47 quid on the lay of Withhold and 95 quid on the lay of Val Koenig. So 53 quid to the charity. That's not too sad, is it?
Absolutely not.
Okay. We're green.
Now, there's some funny stuff going on in the next race because if you thought that Vald Koenig for Gosden was too short in the previous one, what's happened there has potentially triggered a big drift on Palace Pier for Gosden in the 3:15 at Newcastle.
Yes, which is our next race here on Racing Post Live. And 1 mile handicap, absolutely fascinating little handicap this. You remember Palace Pier from last year was said to be one of Gosden's Guineas hopefuls. He met with injury, he couldn't run. He looked sensational in his 2 runs. The market's suggesting that there might be a bit of rustiness there, isn't there? Potentially, there has also, I should say, been money for Acquitted, who gets weight off the favourite Palace Pier and is strongly fancied from certain quarters that I've heard from a winning yard this week. That's Hugo Palmer. When the money's down with the Palmer yard, you absolutely have to respect it. Ben Curtis, he's back amongst the winners. So good on the all-weather, wasn't he, during the winter? And it looks like a 2-horse race.
It certainly does, according to the market, doesn't it? Palace Pier 2.26, Acquitted 3.05, and 12 bar. Acquitted's getting £9 from Palace Pier, and it just kind of, it feels, Barry, like if you read what Gosden says, he's chosen this as a fairly soft start, but I don't know whether that hints at the fact that it doesn't, that and the market drift hint at the fact that the horse isn't necessarily going all out for, to be at his level best today. It's a difficult one, this, isn't it?
Yeah, it looks very much like it's just a starting block for him. He probably was put in plenty short initially anyway, Bruce, with the troop he told at odds on. I think he was traded short of 171 the exchange, which is 8 to 11. This is probably more his price. It is a competitive 3-year-old handicap, don't forget. Hugo Palmer is a few quid knocking around for his horse as well, Acquitted. But I did think if the favourite was up to it and if he was anyway near peak fitness, that he would definitely take a lot of beating here. He's rated 98. And I think that looks a fair mark as well for his first start in a handicap.
Well, to give you a lot of confidence there, Barry, I've gone against him with Palace Pier on the day I'm having. It's got to turn at some point. I mean, I've got about 40 minutes left for that to happen, but I like Acquitted quite a lot here. I think the fact that he's got that all-weather form in the book, something Palace Pier doesn't have, is a big tick for him.
I thought the favourite would win, but I thought Minuski for Mark Johnson, if he gets out in front, I thought he wouldn't be too far away. And I'm going to back him into without market if Bruce would like to.
Okay, let's go.
Right.
So we click on without the favourite.
So that's where your horse can win the race, or if the favourite wins and your horse comes second to him, you still get paid. So Minuski, I think, is around a 7.8, which is about 13 to 2. So if we have 25 quid on that for the charity, if Minuski wins the race, we get paid. And if the favourite wins the race and Minuski comes second to him, we still get paid. And I think the favourite could take a bit of beating here, I'm sorry to say, Dave.
We're unmatched here. Shall I panic and go down to 7 point? Not panic, but shall I cover it? There's not a huge amount of money in here, so I'm just a little concerned we might not get done.
What did you request?
7.8, and it's now 7.3, 7.2 to back. Should I chase it?
Take the 7.2. Just take the 7.2. Okay. I think 6 to 1, little over 6 to 1 is probably a fair price.
I think sometimes, Barry, it's also important to remember with some of these prices that you sit there and think, oh, I'm on 7.8. I don't want to take 7.6. It doesn't actually cut, unless you're having a huge bet, it doesn't actually come to much, does it?
It all depends on your stake. And for a relatively small stake like 25 quid, I think the difference is about 175 there for us. So,
okay.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter. But if you're doing it in multiples of thousands, each tick matters.
For sure. But for this, I just think for a smaller staking punter, don't miss the boat for the sake of trying to get another 35 pence.
That Monoski, he was a bit of a frustrating animal last year.
Can we not call him Monoski?
Oh, this is Daily Adalia again.
It's a monoski. It's a single ski. What's a monoski?
Yeah, see, again, you know that.
It's not some Russian.
Do I look like a man who's been down a black luge run? No.
No, we're talking water skiing here, Dave. You've been water skiing on a stag weekend, haven't you?
I'm thankfully not. You know, never swim in shark-infested waters. You're not going to get bitten. Don't water ski. You're not going to break a leg. But no, look, you don't want to see me water skiing. Monoski. Oh my goodness! Yeah, there's a couple of names that
same colours as the favourite, obviously.
Yes, of course.
And they're about to jump. It's the straight mile at Newcastle, and Monoski actually is not the best away there. He's in the first class. Neither of them actually were particularly quickly away, but Monoski has regained his equilibrium and just about takes up the running and is vying for the early lead with Embolden. Any market moves from the reaction to the start there, Barry?
No, it's steady away at the moment, Bruce. It's what you'd expect. The favourite, Palace Pier, is currently 5 to 4, acquitted into just under 2 to 1 now, and looks like he's going to go favourite soon in running, and it's 20 to 1 bar.
He's a tad keen acquitted for my money. Palace Pier's going beautifully, and it looks like with the owners having the two in there that this chap's been put in for a target to be on his back. He was going to run in the Guineas potentially. They came here for the softer option. Will class prevail?
Okay, so Monaski is leading them along from Embolden. On the outside, we've got He's a Keeper for Tom Dascombe. On the inner in fourth is Acquitted, and they're chased by Rich Belief. The favourite Palace Pier going nicely, and bringing up the rear is Roshimi.
They're going to have to start sprinting soon, guys. Here we go.
Pace is just beginning to quicken now. Palace Pier just getting a shake of the reins and moves nicely. But on the inside, Acquitted, who was the market mover, has taken it up, and Acquitted now kicks on. Palace Pier hasn't really picked up. Acquitted looks like he's got this in the bag. He's gone 2 lengths clear. Palace Pier now looking to get after him, but he's still got 2 lengths to make up, and it doesn't look like it's going to happen. They're into the final field, and this is closing up now. Acquitted is desperately hanging on. Palace Pier is coming at him all the time, and Palace Pier has gone past him. Palace Pier has absolutely picked up like a superstar. I love that performance. That is absolutely world class. That was brilliant, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was superb. If you think he's given him £9, Ben Curtis, like Vitrolite, if you've been watching earlier, he went for, he thought the cavalry was behind him, a furlong out, he went for it, didn't he? And he's been picked up near the line, but I don't think we can have too many qualms about thinking. We can see why now. Gosden was talking this up as a classic contender. They thought it would. He's not the kind of horse off the layoff that they wanted to run against Pinatubo. This is a horse that would do not be surprised, guys, if we get quotes from St James's Palace after this.
Damn right. Palace Pier wins it by probably 3 or 4 lengths from Acquitted, who was himself well clear. 11 to 10 Palace Pier in the end. The Betfair SP was 2.22. Barry, that was damned impressive, wasn't it?
Yeah, he really picked up well, didn't he, for a horse that looked like, and the market would suggest that he needed his run. He traded at 13.5, bigger for smaller money, obviously, but 13.5 on the exchange in running. The runner-up hit a low of 108, which is 12 to 1 on. When he hit the front, it looked all over. But a good performance, especially given that £7 to a horse that seemed to be well fancied by the market.
Yeah, and I think what you've got to love about this performance as well is, he kind of looked beat, but he's up against Acquitted, a horse that was going to be absolutely cherry ripe for this. The money suggested that. And when you've had that layoff as an injury, what you want to see is a horse go through with it again, don't you? And he's got a lovely attitude, this one. Yeah, and 11 to 10 against a lot bigger than what people thought industry SP-wise he might go off because of the support for Acquitted. Yoshimi, the third favourite, running into third there as well. He'll come on a lot for that. Richard Fahey, that was his 53rd runner of the week. He's had 4 winners, I think. That's of the week.
53 runners in a week.
That's unbelievable, isn't it?
I mean, that setup he's got is absolutely astonishing. But, yeah. I mean, Palace Pier, that really was exciting. 100 yards to go. He's absolutely dead level with Acquitted, and he's beat him at least 3. I thought that was a really, really eye-catching run. I loved that.
Have we got anything on the St James's Palace yet? Bruce, Barry, sorry. Is there any sort of market like that yet for the St James's Palace?
No one has a market. No one has a market up yet for St James's Palace. I'm sure it'll be going up in the next couple of minutes because obviously if Pinatubo wins here, we'd probably have to quote him for the St James's Palace because it doesn't look like he'll go the Derby route. Although that could be open to correction there, but yeah, I'm sure it's a market that, as we talk, is being loaded by sportsbooks all over the country. Well, we've just seen one there, haven't we? Star performer so far today. Would we agree? It's probably.
Yeah, no question.
Terabellum was up there, but it was a handicap, but we are looking at a Gosden thing. 3 from 3. They absolutely love him. Great to see him back. Rab Havlin will be purring, no doubt. Check, of course, in your members section on the website for all the replays and the quotes as well from these connections. Never more important have they been. Here we are on RP Live then. Myself, Dave Orton, Bruce Millington. Joining me on the panel, and Barry Orr from Betfair. Star performer, we're talking about Palace Pier. Could that be bettered? We're hoping, like the Racing Post headline suggests, that the next wonder horse is coming up next to 3:35. The first classic of the season, thank the Lord, is back. It's the 2,000 Guineas. 15 runners going to post. And from what we've seen so far with the draw, Bruce, we wouldn't have any problems about coming up the middle of the track at all, would you?
Not fast, no factor.
Yeah.
No factor at all.
What about the rain that's fallen? Just kicking it off a bit?
It did actually look like there was a bit of a print there, but I think they're just taking maybe a slightly moist crust off the top. There's no way that I mean, it has absolutely chucked it down by the looks of it, but there's no way that it's done enough to really alter the ground. I'm sure it's going to be good to firm. I don't think there's going to be any excuse. Well, you might get some trouble in running, but I don't think we're not going into this race thinking, oh Christ, he's going to get ruined by draw bias or anything. Let's set the stage here. We have waited for Pinatubo probably since he won the Chesham, when he bolted up in the Chesham nearly a year ago.
Yeah.
That was when we first thought, hang on a sec, this horse is potential superstar. And then he's had 3 runs since and basically confirmed it. He's a superstar 2-year-old. Can he be a superstar 3-year-old? I am absolutely buzzing for this. I'm so excited to see what he does. You know, this horse has warmed our winters, hasn't he, all the way through. And then it looked like we might not even get a chance to see what it's like. So thank goodness they were able to rearrange the Guineas. And let's hope that it is the stage on which he can absolutely electrify us.
If you are Charlie Appleby, you're happy with the way your horse has been running, of course, today and yesterday since they've come back. No problems there whatsoever. Having made his debut in May, I think Keels said today in the Racing Post, only 6 of the last 20 have raced that early and only 3 winners amongst them. Trends-wise, it doesn't look good for Pinatubo. They don't have these many runs, usually, and with this, you know, this backlog that we've had to wait for through lockdown, if you're Charlie Appleby, were you hoping that the Guineas was going to be run on the first weekend of May because the others haven't had a chance physically to catch up?
You certainly were. The only thing I would say about Pinatubo starting his 2-year-old career so early is that apparently he's a terrible worker. So they didn't realise what they had with him. So of course he's gone to Wolverhampton, you know, late May and absolutely rattled up and looked really good. Then he's won the Woodcote, hasn't he?
He was 3-1 on his debut as well. They had something else in the race that went off favourite. Yeah, he did win the Woodcote. That's right, over the 6 furlongs.
You know, so this is a horse that at 2 has ripped the trends to shreds, and you know now I just think I don't care about the trends. I mean, I just think that if he hadn't had those first 3 runs, his last 3 runs at 2 are absolutely astonishing. I like him. Barry, you taking him on?
The favourite here, yeah, for sure. Have to. Again, it's at the price. He was obviously a precocious 2-year-old that was well ahead of his peers, but by all accounts, I don't think he's grown much. He's a stocky little horse for sure. We saw that ourselves last year. And again, it's like volcanic that there's any amount of horses that can improve and come up to him. I think Paul Keeley had a really interesting piece in the Post today about horses at this age, how much just 8 months can mean or a year can mean in terms of their development. You know, I think he likened it to almost 3 years, just that period of time. In humans, it can be as big as 3 years. So, you know, some of these horses could have progressed by him. There's an awful lot of horses in there that you could give decent chances to. A couple of Godolphin one, Military March that I mentioned earlier, and now Sue Hill. You've got Wichita in there with Frankie that's been well supported, Arizona for the same stable. I think at 1.83 around that, I'm going to lay him, Bruce. I'd like you to get stuck into this early. And I'm also going to back Al Sahil in the place market. 3 places that is as well. So if we can get working on that, that'd be great.
Well, okay. Bruce,
let's crack on. Right, so Pinatubo, 1.89 to lay. How much are we laying, Barry?
Yeah, we're going to look to lose. We'll take 100 quid of the backer stake from him. So
100 quid. So we're risking 89.
Lose. That's correct.
Happy with that? And we've actually got done at 1.87 because there's a little run on him, so that's handy.
Yeah,
there's what's the other bet we're doing?
Nearly 4 million quid matching that already, which just shows how strong liquidity is on the exchange today. And obviously, everyone can see the liquidity on the exchange and the amounts. It's very transparent. If you go into the place market, Bruce, and we look to back also well.
3 places, the standard
3 places,
place market.
The standard place terms. He should be around 4.6, which is 7-2. So if we have 50 quid on him at around that mark, 4.6, 4.7. I'd be happy with that. So I think that's the play for me in the race.
That's been done at 4.7. Good. Okay.
We've got a social comment, I think, guys. Can we get to that first, are we, before we're looking at the market? We know you're all out there. We love the comments coming in. Let us know exactly how you're getting on. Marcel Bacallo. Hopefully I've got that wrong. Right, I should say. Will Pinatubo obtain his 7th victory and maintain his invincibility? Or will Arizona with Ryan Moore or Wichita with Dettori spoil the party? Pedigree and campaigns are not lacking. Arizona stinks in this market, doesn't he? Absolute stinker.
Yeah, they don't want him, do they? I mean, earlier on today, he's been second fav for this for ages, but Wichita is the second favourite now, 10.5. It's actually quite interesting this because in the market without the favourite, if I just quickly look at that if Pinatubo hadn't run, this would be one of the most competitive Guineas you've ever seen because Wichita's 5.4, Kamiko 6.2, Arizona 5.7, Military March 8.2. It's a really competitive event without Pinatubo, but obviously we are delighted Pinatubo is in there because we want to see a superstar. That's not to say something else won't be a superstar. I've got to say, I'm quite keen on another Godolphin runner in Military March.
Yeah.
for Saeed. I think that I like that 2-year-old form, and I think he's decent. I think he's got every chance.
I wrote him up as one of my 10 to follows when I was doing all the dark horses before lockdown kicked in, and thought this would be the Derby runner. Loved his win at the course there over Al Sahel, who Barry's been mentioning up. They're two different characters, Barry, aren't they? Military March and Al Sahel. Al Sahel is the racy one. Military March is, if he runs on into 4th or 5th, he's going to be pressing English King, I think, nearly for the top of the Derby market, I think.
Yeah, very much. He's by a Derby winner himself in New Approach, and obviously the Zetland, or the race that he won in Newmarket, he stayed on better than anything that day when he beat Al Sahil, and obviously, every yard of the trip he appreciated that. But like you say, Al Sahil is a little bit more speedier than him. Hopefully he'll have matured a bit over the winter as well. And I just think at the prices, I wouldn't give up on Military March. If he was to run into the first 4 here, he's still a real life Derby contender. And I think this is a big stepping stone. And it's going to be the best Derby trial as well, ahead of Royal Ascot for sure.
A lot of course form on offer here, guys, as well, isn't there? The dip is not going to be a problem for certain. Well, the Wichita, we know that he won the Orton Stakes, looked really good that day. Frankie's on. I think he's up there. There is quite a bit of pace in the race. Kensai Warrior likes to get on with it. Mums Tipple liked to get on with it last year. Mums Tipple's a very interesting horse. Remember when he won at York?
I've backed Mums Tipple.
Have you?
I have, simply because that run at York, I can't forget that run at York. It was so impressive. And now it's probably a silly bet. I mean, it doesn't really. This doesn't fit the profile of a Guineas winner, but that run is etched in my mind, and I've just thought at a massive price.
That day, Bruce, like Ryan Moore completely dipped the horse that day, didn't he? Like Ryan wasn't going to die wondering what was under the bonnet of Mom's Tipple that day. He actually got suspended for it when it won that day in York. What a performance it was. But it's disappointed too many times since, and I think the price is probably right for her. What a great story for Roger Teal would be, wouldn't it? Kensai Warrior, great piece with Jonathan Harding in the Racing Post today about him. Already had a second in the Guineas a couple of years back, and great for a small yard like that to be going back to the well with
and by a load of Watford supporters.
Yeah, it does have a yeah, that's right. Watford fans, aren't they? Yeah,
they call him Troy Deeney in the stables.
His pet name is Troy, not named after the 1979 Derby winner, but after Troy Deeney. Is this a race where Aidan throws a few bullets and one of the ones lands that you didn't expect? I mean,
Royal Dawn.
Royal Dawn has got that one piece of form that actually is interesting.
He beat Kamiko, didn't he?
Beat Kamiko is what I'm saying. Yeah, exactly. So when you look how sexy Kamiko became after winning the Vertem Futurity here, I don't know. It's just, you look at trends and you look at what normally is an archetypal Guineas winner. I think you find sometimes with Aidan that he can just get them to win from any old profile, can't he?
He lowered the course record that day as a juvenile, Royal Dawn. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Again, he had quite a bit of mileage, didn't he? But if you are honing in on Kamiko, which I have to say he'd be the one of the market leaders I don't like really. Keels is really strong on him. I think he thought that the stand side rail. It's just that Kitten's Joy, his sire, has got such a good record at Newcastle, where he saw off Kinross, of course, who went off favourite in that Vertem Futurity. I'm not suggesting he's not a turf horse, but I thought that up against Pinatubo, Kamiko had shown his colours a little bit on turf. I think he's got to step up a little bit. What price now Pinatubo then, guys? What are we looking at here?
186 at the moment, Dave, which is 5 to 6. So he's on a little bit of a slide back out again. Wichita is very, very strong in the market. Could be the Frankie Dettori factor there. Kamiko just around the 12 to 1 mark. But the favourite tittering around 10 to 9 on.
He's going down beautifully, isn't he? Looking at that.
He is. It's absolutely perfect. I mean, again, Barry, now you'd expect, wouldn't you, given that, the runs for this took shape last year, you wouldn't expect it to be ultra volatile, would you? But it's a very, very settled, placid market. We've topped the 4 million being matched on the exchange, which is extraordinary. But normally by this stage you'll get a horse that suddenly starts getting smashed up or drifting like a barge. That hasn't really happened here, has it?
No, well, usually it's an Aidan O'Brien runner that gets smashed up when some of the big boys come out to play in a race like this. They do like to have their favourites in the race. It looks good in the marketing blurb for them that was sent off favourite in the 2000 Guineas, but not this time around by the look with at the head of the market, Pinatubo.
Come on, let's go for glory. Let's do 1, 2, 3s, Dave.
Ooh, I think Pinatubo will beat Wichita. Nothing obvious there for me. I like Wichita. I've had a little bit on him, but I think Pinatubo will beat Wichita and Military March.
Barry?
I think the boys in blue could dominate here. Military March. I think also will Military March Pinatubo. They could fill the first 3 spots.
I'm going to go Pinatubo, Military March, and my old pet horse that I can't let go, Mum's Tipple.
Apparently, he worked the house down at Kempton. Did you read the Hannon quotes on that when he was? Yeah, apparently they were absolutely knocked out by him. It's just whether that York is a bit of a red herring, isn't it?
He was lame last time.
He
Well? So
did
there
have
is
his
an
excuses.
excuse. There is, and he's quite solid. He's not taken a huge walk, has he? I don't know. I just feel like I say that run was amazing, and it'd be Sean Levy's second classic, of course, wouldn't it?
Yeah, he's been seen to really good effect. Yeah, of course it would, absolutely.
Bilston Brook.
Let's hope that this isn't a Magna Graecia, if you like, where 2 come up against the rail and Magna Graecia goes clear. This could be a bit more of a Saxon Warrior year, I think, where there's a lot of pace low in those draws. Kamiko's right up against the fence, and Wichita in 9. I think Frankie will probably elect to come more stand side. He's going to be up there as well. But there is pace all over the place. Pinatubo is drawn in 7. Lots of options for William Buick. We're about to find out whether we have got another poster boy for 2020, and boy, don't we need one in Pinatubo here. I mean, if he goes and wins, the comparisons with Frankel are going to come back out, aren't they? And
well, it depends how, doesn't it? I mean, you would love him to bomb out and do exactly what Frankel did. I don't think, I just think that Frankel Guineas win is a unique piece of racing history. I don't think you do that. I'm quite intrigued in this market. I've just noticed, by the way, Barry, on Betfair, how far Pinatubo, just going to click on this, up to and including 1.75 lengths is 7-2. To win by 2 lengths or more is 2-1. And not to win is 2.18. That's a really interesting market, that, isn't it? Because it's fairly even, all 3 options.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Only 10 grand traded in it, but when a horse is as big odds on as he is, I suppose you have to back 2 winners in one there, Bruce, don't you? The horse has to win first because that's quoted in it, and then you have to be correct in the distance. So it's a difficult bet. Some people getting involved in it, obviously, with nearly 10 grand matching it, but it wouldn't be one for me now, although it is interesting.
But if you want to, if you really, believe in Pinatubo and you think he is the second coming, then you're going from 5 to 6 to win the race to 2-1 to win by 2 lengths or more.
Or more, yeah. But again, you have to back 2 winners in one bet. Not easily done.
the punters are listening to Barry or exchange players out there who's having a very good day so far. I want a few quid for charity because Alsa Hale is, I guess, of the bigger prices, guys, the one that's contracting now, isn't he? Kinross is really weak, isn't he? I mean, I was expecting him to be definitely nearer the 10-1 mark. What is he, Bruce?
Yeah, he's 23. I mean, I bang on about Rafe Beckett horses. I absolutely adore backing Rafe Beckett horses. And when this horse won first time out, I thought, oh my goodness, this is going to be an absolute superstar. But I was really disappointed with the Newcastle run and the fact that his horses just aren't in form at the moment. It would put me off. I don't know.
He has worked very well apparently at Whitesbury Market, Dragoni's Yard, as I said earlier on the show. I've had this conversation with you before on podcasts and stuff. You've got a sort of theory about the owners that Beckett's has, haven't you? They're not the biggest punters in the world, so you shouldn't be totally put off.
They weren't, but I think some of these Vega horses, Waverley Racing, I'm not sure. I think the old mould of a sort of gentry landowner who owns horses with Rafe might just have changed slightly there.
Who's not worried about whether it's fours on or fours against. Yeah,
exactly. I think these guys know the time of day. But I don't know. The win was absolutely brilliant. But on the run behind Kamiko, you've got to put a bit of a leap of faith. And an amazing stat that I didn't realise that you unleashed earlier, Dave, that it's King Rafe's first 2,000 guineas run.
King Rafe, we have got a fan.
Oh yeah, no, I'm a massive fan.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
That day last year when I think he banged in 5 or 6 winners.
Yes, that was at Newmarket, wasn't it?
I always have a Rafe Beckett multiple, and I got waylaid and distracted and didn't do it, and I literally worked out how much it would have been, and it was over 80 grand. No.
Well, you'll get your chance to do that later on in the summer, I think, with Rafe horses. It's just yet the market suggesting that, in fact, there's been a little nibble for him now, I think. So we're just dawdling around the stalls for the first classic of 2020. Yes, we're back. Absolutely happy days. And the narrative, we're 2 Pinatubo ticks in here. Barry Orr. He's got a couple of the lays right so far. Val Koenig, that looks like egg on face now a little bit, doesn't it? And what sort of price you were expecting around about evens, Barry? When I spoke to you on Wednesday, it looked like a couple might dangle that way. Punters aren't going to have that.
No, it's good. Surely it'll go off odds on without a shadow of a doubt. Around 10 to 9 on market, he's going to go off Pinatubo. But good money for Mom's Tipple now into 29, 28 to 1. Was 46 when I did a sense check on the market this morning. So good money for him, for Bruce's one of his outside fancies in it. And Wichita is very strong at around the 9 to 1 mark. He's probably the strongest in the market to challenge the favourite so far. But the favourite, around the 10 to 9 mark. Military March on a massive slide as well, was a 20 to 1, chances out to 25. Also into around a 16 to 1 mark, having backed him earlier at around 26.
Perhaps the story about this of this race so far, I remember Anthony Van Dyke went a blinder yesterday, didn't he, consider the market couldn't have him. Arizona, what has he got, 3 lengths to make up on Pinatubo on the best form? I mean,
two. It's only 2 on the last run, isn't it? Yeah.
I wasn't totally sure whether Pinatubo was absolutely in love with the dip, and he still kind of came out on it and won. Charlie Appleby has said in the newspaper today, his quote basically, he's got one burst of speed and it doesn't stop. That's the secret to Pinatubo. Great story that, wasn't it, on the app and in the Racing Post as well. And we're just sort of seeing a replay here in the studio. And Wichita, of course, was third to him that day, but on the wrong ground. It's a completely different scenario here. We're about to find out whether we have that poster boy, as I said, the wonder horse that is Pinatubo. Held all before him last year. You're right, that Cheshire win. I was there that day. That was sensational,
wasn't it?
Brilliant. He
Absolutely
beat that Ballydor horse that was
Lope Fernandez.
Whatever happened to Lope? He's sort of backside of Pinatubo.
He beat him again, didn't he? Right, let's go. Come on. Can Pinatubo confirm his greatness? They are about to run. 15 runners facing the starter, 1 more to go in, and the excitement is mounting. Pinatubo comes out from on the middle of the field, drawn in 7, and the lashing rain and wind has given way to glorious sunshine. Can Pinatubo shine in the blue silks under blue skies? Let's find out. He's solid still.
Ready.
1.87. He just hasn't moved. One horse just getting a little bit fractious there. Might be Kenzai Warrior, I think, but they're all pretty calm. Those that have been installed are pretty calm, and we are almost ready for the 2020 Kipco 2000 Guineas. We're off and running. It's a nice level break. Actually, Kenzai Warrior, not a great start from him. And also Royal Dornock is shuffled back in the early part of the race. But the pace setter is Persuasion for Charlie Hills in the Paul Roy colours. On the near side, we've got Juan Elcano, and then Arizona is tucked in behind them. On the outside, going quite well, is Starcat. We've also got Wichita right up there. Pinatubo, where is he? Settled in about 7th, isn't he? Yeah, he's going nicely. No problem there. 1.77, so the market's quite happy with his chances as Persuasion continues to cut the running out under Kieran Schumark from Juan Elcano. So the outsiders are to the 4. Starcat is 3rd for Huey Morrison. Just moving nice and prominent now is Wichita and Frankie Dettori. In behind is Arizona, who doesn't look like he's going fantastically well. Pinatubo's he's just beginning to be asked to come there.
3 furlongs.
Military March is going as well.
Here he comes.
Pinatubo, the gap's open up for him. If he's good enough, he's going to get there. He's going to be lucky enough.
But
he's still taking his time. Kamiko. But it's Wichita, and on the inside, here comes Pinatubo. He's still got to get past Wichita.
Come on,
and on the outside, Military March is running well. And here is Kamiko as well. He's not got there yet, I think he's beat.
Wow, up the rising finish.
Wichita and Kamiko are going to battle this out. And Kamiko has got there. Kamiko is going to win it for Sheen Murphy. Is he going to get there? Kamiko just wins the 2000 Guineas. Wichita is 2nd and Pinatubo finishes 3rd. Wow, what a shocker.
Great call, Bruce. Great call, because it was a changing fortunes inside that final furlong. Coming out of the dip, you thought Pinatubo, well, we know what he's done. He's going to go and do it. He hasn't reversed that Dewhurst. He hasn't confirmed that Dewhurst form with Wichita. He's run an absolute blinder. But Kamiko, lads, when we look back at that run, he's had to switch surely because he was tracking them. He's ended up right down the middle. The main action was on the near side as expected. Barry Orr, what price did Kamiko touch?
He hit a high of 26 in running, Dave, would you believe? Yeah, for moderate enough money. Pinatubo hit a low 1.35 and Wichita hit a low 1.44, just 2 to 5. So, yeah, a lot of in-running action there, as you could imagine. But fair play to the winner, Oisin Murphy as well. A great win. Great win in those colours for him as well. Qatar Racing, good to see, and good for the yard. And great for racing. Pinatubo had every chance. I don't think he just got home.
Yeah. I think
1.35 Pinatubo.
I make you right. I've got a feeling he probably just didn't see out the extra furlong, did he? I think William Buick did pretty much everything right. He was niggled at, wasn't he? Do you run about 3 furlongs out? He called it in, and you thought, is this going to absolutely fall in the hole? Then he comes back onto the bridle, and he's had absolutely every chance. I mean, Wichita, for the Ballydoyle boys, they'll be really, really happy with him because he wasn't really the first string. Certainly not on jockey bookies, although I was once told that's absolute rubbish, apparently, that Ryan Moore doesn't get to choose his rides at all. This is the key moment we're watching going into the dip. Kamiko's just had to switch, hasn't he? Wichita, Military March, keeping him in a little bit. You could easily mark him up a length there, Bruce.
Yeah, you definitely could, Jay. It was a really, really good win. It was a fantastic win there, and Sheikh Fahad will be absolutely delighted. Qatar Racing, obviously, getting the race they sponsor. Military March has run pretty well. Juan Elcano has stayed on really, really well. That is a horse to keep an eye out for because he's probably been beaten 4 lengths in the end. The winning distances look like about a neck and a length. It's just a shame. Pinatubo, he's come there with every chance, but he's just not quite good enough on the day. He probably just hasn't trained on. All the doubts and all the trends, negatives about him have been realised. Arizona was right out the back. Mum's Tipple, likewise, that's pretty much finished last. But look, I think we've got a really good winner here. I mean, the Vertem Futurity, which obviously was the Racing Post Trophy, is, along with the Dewhurst, the race that generally produces classic champions, and it's done it again. And I've got to say as well, I'm delighted for John Dance, whose Vertem Futurity sponsored that race, because they were the ones who were happy to see that race move to Newcastle, and now the value of the race has been proven by Kamiko running such a blinder.
What a boost for them. What a boost for Newcastle as well. Enable, of course, started off her career there. We've now got the first Group 1 on a synthetic, has won a Guineas. And hats off to Paul Keeley as well. He put him up 2 points each way, 10-1. Sometimes you stick with Keels. You know what you're doing out there. He's going to be. I wonder what decibels Keels pushed up there. Barry, you were against Pinatubo as well. You pretty got that right. You were keen on a good run for Military March as well. Are you still happy?
Yeah, I'm not sure. His run petered out very early in the straight for me, and he couldn't get past Pinatubo. I thought if Pinatubo didn't get home, I thought if one horse was going to stay on better than anything, it would have been around Military March as well. But yeah, I just didn't. I wasn't pleased with that run. I'd like to see him being a little bit closer and finish out his race a little better. The way Kamiko did, 3-1 from 9-1 now. 3-1 clear favour for the Derby. Kamiko from 9-1.
Let's talk about Kamiko then for the Derby, Bruce. Kitten's Joy out of a Rock of Gibraltar dam. I'm just looking at the pedigree now.
What?
Well,
don't worry about that. Don't worry about the parents. Worry about the horse.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Oh, mate, honestly.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that. He's okay. Let's look at the pedigrees here. The dam was a US miler. She didn't get any further than that. Rock of Gibraltar. That makes sense. Kitten's Joy, 10 furlongs. Can you really see? Are you going to back this for the Derby?
Yeah, I would back that for the Derby. No problem. No problem whatsoever. He stayed on brilliantly.
I'm going to take you on there.
That's fine.
I'm going to take you on there.
That's fine. It's another 4 furlongs, mate. I'm really not bothered about that. I like this horse very much. He's progressive. He's versatile. I think he's decent, and I think he's going to go there with every chance. He might not stay, but I'd rather look at what they do on form on the racecourse and worry about what the.
It'll be fascinating to see afterwards whether Balding says, "Yep, we're going to St James's Palace. That's the route we want to take," or having won as a mile as a 2-year-old, the Camelot route, you like.
Exactly.
We are talking about a Derby winner.
Has to be the Derby. Has to be the Derby.
Prices, Barry, for the Derby. Come on, this is 2 against 1 here. I feel like I'm up against it.
I wouldn't be backing him in the Derby now, but he's 3-1 favourite from 9-1. I just like to let that race just settle in. I'd like to go back and watch it 3 or 4 times and just really. He was drawn 15, so he's done it the hard way. When you look back on the early views that I've seen of it, he's drawn 15 on the rail. He has to come out wide. He comes between horses. He's shown good spirit out in the heart of the track to go on and win going away. So I think he will stay, but whether he's a Derby bet at 3-1, not for me, no.
But and again, you know, the importance of stable form there. And don't forget, we've got another sensational day's racing tomorrow. Andrew Balding, we flagged him up at the start of the show, is a trainer who's come out absolutely firing this week.
First Guineas for Andrew.
Yeah,
absolutely. Which is great. I mean, the stories that come out of this, Oshie Murphy absolutely covered himself in glory this week, didn't he? Got back in the car at Newmarket on the way back. All he had to do was use his phone and tell people, and his legions of Twitter followers. Him and Tom Marquand are getting a lot of love, aren't they, on social media?
And so
you know
they
a lot
should.
about more than that
They're just fantastic, aren't they? They're brilliant jockeys, and they seem right lovely lads. Those two,
and they're travellers as well. They've spent different times in different countries. Tom was down in, remember, of course, Adabe. That doesn't seem that long ago now, really, does it? They've learned, haven't they? They are the new breed coming through. Huge for Oisin Murphy, that is. He's obviously going to be absolutely in love with this horse. And let's just talk about Pinatubo quickly. Are we talking about a July Cup sort of thing now? There had been talk about going to the Everest in Australia later on as well. I think he's open for a slot with that potentially for Godolphin.
I don't think on that they're necessarily going to want to drag him around halfway around the world and put up. Look, the entry fee's not there, not neither here nor there.
So where do you go with him now?
Well,
has he trained on?
St James's.
These are the questions that will be being asked, weren't they? Lots of people were waiting for Pinatubo to not fire. Barry was one of them, thinking this is probably, all the Trends boys, like you mentioned, the 6 runs, having made his debut in May. All the others, have they caught up, or is this?
I don't think he's going to get better, is he? That's the trouble.
It was
all
a brave run, wasn't it?
It was a perfectly good run. He's finished third in the Guineas. He actually might end up having a couple more runs, and then they'll go and breed from him as a sire of a speedster.
Yeah.
Let's see how we got on the old betting today, Barry. So I'm on to the profit and loss, and we've won £73.50. Where's that going, Barry?
That's going to Racing Welfare.
Oh, no, it's actually going into the pot for tomorrow because we're going to do it all again, aren't we?
We have got the beauty.
No, we're putting that away. That's done.
Okay.
That's today's winning. That's banked for Racing Welfare. We'll start again tomorrow.
It's nice to have you on, Barry, because during Cheltenham we didn't do so well, actually, with that fund. So Barry's given us a little bit of the archetypal win there. Bruce is right. We are, of course, back tomorrow. We're kind of feeling our way a little bit, aren't we? Well done on the commentaries today, by the way. It's not easy, is it? It's not easy.
As I showed it, but it's
difficult. You called it absolutely spot on.
I've always had the utmost admiration for Hoyles and Hunt and Simon Holt and Mark Johnson. I think the 4 of them are just superb, world-class commentators.
Ennis.
Yeah, there's some brilliant commentators, and as I've shown this afternoon, it's not easy.
Well, and the thing is, if you're watching out there, we're going to give Bruce these commentaries because otherwise we'd all be talking over each other. We had 58 seconds in the Palace House. You called it right, so the reactions will come in the final furlong from us. But fair play for that today. Tomorrow, you're gonna just rest your voice tonight.
Yeah, rest my voice tonight, and let's not forget tomorrow we've got 3 great races at Haydock. 4 at Newmarket, culminating in the 1,000 Guineas, which is a really wide open race, and it's going to be brilliant. I'm really looking forward to it.
Have you backed on anti-posting that?
Haven't backed anything anti-posting that, but again, I did a show with the lads yesterday, David Jennings and Keels, and they were both all over Boomer for Tom Dascombe in the 1,000 Guineas. There was no love whatsoever for the favourite Quadrilateral.
And having watched how Withhold ran, you'd be a little bit umming and ahhing, and they've said, does she want a little bit further? It was a messy Phillies Mile that she won, I think, wasn't it? But it would be fascinating to see how the market looks on that, Barry, for the big one tomorrow. Before we sign off, perhaps we can give people a taste of that on Betfair.
On the exchange at the moment, Quadrilateral 4.1, which is a 3-1 chance. Love, my own fancy of the race, 5.8, a little over 9-2. You've Mizile in there for Jessica Harrington at around the 7-2 mark, and it's 12-1 bar. Raffles Prize, Cloak of Spirit in there as well. Looks a fantastic renewal of the Phillies Classic. And like you say, the favourite a little bit uneasy at the end of the market. A lot of people questioning her win in Newmarket last day. That just the run of the race that a couple of other fillies didn't get the run of the race and she did. So I thought she showed a good constitution in Newmarket last day, and 3-1 looks a pretty fair price, but I think Love just might do her.
First time tongue tie, of course, as well, Quadrilaterals. So interesting stuff. Thanks, Barry. You've given us great input. You'll be back tomorrow, Barry?
If you'll have me back, yeah, I'd love to.
We'll have you back.
I could think of worse people to spend 3 hours with looking at racing. So you're not a bad duo, the two of you.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Love you too, Barry.
There you go. Lots of love from Barry all there. So, Bruce, we're back tomorrow. We've got the 1,000 Guineas, but loads of other great racing as well. Spirits are high. Don't forget, of course, if you want to check out all the quotes, the crucial quotes, look back at the replays. We have a sensational offer for you. This is the QVC bit again, isn't it? The salesman. It's a tenner for 3 months, which is absolutely unprecedented. He got it right today. Paul Keeley, amongst many others out there. We'll be seeing exactly 6 o'clock. They can get that info, can't they, on the Members Club? User code, of course, is Racing is Back. Take up that offer, absolutely, especially if you don't, you can't get out to get a paper for whatever reason at the moment, it's all there digitally for you. I'm Dave Orton. Punting wise, I've had an absolute shocker actually. I mean, it couldn't have gone much worse. I posed Kamiko. I nearly put him up as a lay. It's not been a good day. You've crossed Bari?
Yeah, not too bad actually. Simply because Keels told me at the start of the week that you have to back. I played golf with him on Monday. He said you have to back Kamiko each way. There's no way 3 horses
He was just
beat him. So that
chirping on about it from them, was he? So yeah, Keels is going to be having a good one. Don't forget, of course, to gamble responsibly out there. As I said earlier on the show, if one thing lockdown has done for me, it's given me some discipline out of absolutely no. I'm sure that will go out the window at some point. But I'm just feeling my way. We're learning all the way. No Pinatubo then, Bruce. Wasn't quite the story we were hoping for.
It's a shame, but I still think we've got a good... if a Dewhurst or a Futurity winner wins the Guineas, then you know it's a decent horse.
We've got a potential star there, and of course he's a little bit better than that bare form, isn't it? Well, this wraps up day 1 of the Guineas meeting for us here on Racing Post Live. Don't forget to hashtag RP Live. Let us know what you thought. We're going to go through all the comments. Love reading these comments. YouTube, Facebook, however you're watching us out there. It's been fantastic to have you. I'm Dave Orton. This is Bruce Millington. We'll see you tomorrow.
These are top class, the top 4 at the top of the market. And the one that I've come down on, I can't believe it. If I was doing this 2 weeks ago, it certainly wouldn't have been Gosh.